Chapter 76. The frog legs and slug tentacles in the backpack were just the right amount, so Leo only had to boil them into soup. Killua and Aluka watched curiously as Leo removed the curse. "It stinks." "Yeah, it stinks." After applying the honey sticky liquid, the two siblings teased the smelly Leo. "Naughty child," Leo scolded with a smile, but didn't respond further. You could tell he was in a good mood. After a cup of tea, the scabbard had sealed the hole absorbing energy, and Leo's expression relaxed. Once he wiped the soup off his hands, his pure, flesh-colored palms were exposed, and the curse was gone. Maybe this curse was smoked away, Killua mused. Leo noticed this, too. Perhaps the bloodthirsty demon god couldn't stand that smell. He collected the soup residue and planned to store it in a small bowl of bulge-eyed fish for future use. But then, where are they? The three suddenly realized that the Kajin troops had vanished. Leo didn't hesitate, he released a large sensing circle, extending about 2.5 km. Oops, something's wrong. Leo drew out Sword 3 and lifted both cousins into the air. "Is this move like Grandpa's?" asked Killua. "The principles are similar, but the intent infused is different," Leo explained. "Indeed, my butt feels cold," Killua admitted, squatting on the dragon's back to steady himself. Leo's sensing circle spanned a huge area, but found no human traces, not even footprints. The ice dragon continued flying toward the edge of the wetlands, but still detected nothing. Could they still be here? Or in some special space? Killua analyzed. Very likely. Let's go back and check. Though Leo's mental energy hadn't fully recovered, he was eager to stop wasting time. They returned to the previous spot, landed, and began searching the last known traces. But cruelly, they found nothing meaningful, and some footprints appeared filled by wet soil. Leo's heart contracted with dread. "Leo! Come look here!" Killua suddenly called. Leo followed his voice and saw what he meant. It was a rectangular stone slab with 10 raised blocks. It looked very familiar to Leo, but he couldn't recall its name. "It looks like a game controller." "Right." Leo patted Killua's clever head. "Try pressing the confirm key." When the central protruding block was pressed down, the three of them instantly vanished from the wetland. After a dizzying moment, Leo opened his eyes. But all he could see was Greed Island. Rather, he saw a world made entirely of mosaics. Everyone, including himself, had become pixelated figures. He quickly tested his mental ability. Everything functioned normally. In fact, his lost mental energy seemed fully restored. "Leo?" A dialogue box appeared above one pixelated figure's head. Leo studied her features, and recognizing the vacuum cleaner in her hand, he confirmed it was Shizuku. "It's me. You're Shizuku, right?" He couldn't speak, but his intended words appeared above his head. "Interesting. Blocky brother. Aluka is also square." The two siblings were still with Leo, a bit playful and carefree. "Leo? Leo." Suddenly, several dialogue boxes popped up. It was obvious they belonged to people Leo knew. The one holding a katana was Nobunaga, the blonde-haired one was Finks, the purple-haired was Maki, and the black-haired woman looking like Shizuku must be Daphne. Everyone's wearing the same outfit, it's hard to tell them apart. True. Why are we all green? Here, we can only distinguish by telepathic link. Which idiot pressed the trigger? It was me. Everyone saw an evil, feathered, two-horned apparition rise behind Prince Haukenberg, and those last words were from him. What a terrifying aura. Is that the mind beast born from the egg in the pot ritual? I wonder who's stronger, him or Illumi? Asked Kurapika. Kurapika, don't fantasize, look above your head, Melody reminded him. Can thought information even count as language? This space is tricky. Soon, many disturbing thoughts began popping up in the dialogue bubbles above everyone's heads. After all, human hearts contain the darkest impulses. I don't want you to die, I want you dead. I miss you, I don't like you, don't look at me that way. These conflicting messages filled the pixel world. Leo, realizing this, immediately asked Shizuku, "Shizuku, do you hate me?" "Of course I hate you, but maybe I don't. You know I've tried to kill you. Yet I like our time together." After Shizuku spoke, she noticed their companions were frozen, as if the space had stopped. "Shizuku, is that really you? I actually kind of like you," appeared above Finks. "What's happening? Why did Leo, this bastard, go to hurt Shizuku?" "Leo, what should I do with you? It'd be better if you just killed me." Leo's kind of attractive, could be a male concubine. Something's wrong with this place, it's more messed up than the revived ruins. Yes. But don't say too much. Gradually, everyone realized that their thoughts were appearing in those bubbles. That was terrifying. Everyone has ulterior motives. Even Prince Halkenberg's personal guards might not be 100% sincere. As a result, bonds forged in life or death were shattered instantly, and many hunters began fighting one another, risking their lives. Stop! Prince Halkenberg's bubble was drowned out by the growing chaos. "This is really interesting," appeared above Leo, though his face remained serious. "Sure enough, this bastard's evil to the core," Finks spat. "Leo, shouldn't we think about escaping?" Killua and Aluka always spoke plainly, so there was no awkwardness. "Yes. We can't let this go on. But I want to watch them socially die first," Leo said theatrically. "Happy?" Even after nearly confessing, Shizuku remained calm. "No, of course I'm happy." Leo suddenly realized that his own social death was also on display, so he changed his bubble too. Somewhat joyful, Chapter 77. Unknown Pixel World. Leo and his group were crowded into a square stone house. They built it piece by piece, chopping trees and stones into blocks. This world was very strange. At first, it seemed like a visual glitch, everything looked pixelated. But in reality, the essence of the world was blocks. Everything here turned into blocks when destroyed. Some people confirmed this through experimentation, including this group of outsiders. What was that? Everyone hid inside the house to avoid the tall, thin monster. It was roughly 5 meters tall, with a pure white body and 2 magenta holes where its eyes should be. It made strange, unsettling noises from time to time. Tentative name, Pale. It was confirmed that this thing couldn't enter a fully enclosed space. The issue was its body structure. Even when I struck it with sword aura, it caused no damage, which made no sense. Yes, the power of Leo's sword aura is known to everyone, but it didn't affect the creature at all. So, we can't handle monsters here with brute force. We have to find its weakness. Who's going? Everyone's pixelated eyes instinctively turned to Leo. It wasn't bullying, his strength was simply undeniable. Me again? Seriously? Do you all have a problem with me? Leo asked, sarcasm evident thanks to the truth-revealing nature of the pixel world. I'll go too, said Daphne, raising her hand and catching everyone's attention. I'll go too, added someone Leo didn't expect. A dialogue box floated above Nobunaga's head. Several in the Phantom Troop looked surprised. Even the other members of December found it strange. After all, he and Leo usually avoided each other. Leo looked bewildered, but the three of them walked out of the stone house together. Nobunaga, have you forgiven me? Leo grinned. Why was he being so honest again? Still dreaming? I never blamed you. Nobunaga. This place is cursed. Don't ask again. We'll talk after we get out. There was no visible emotion on Leo's pixel face, but his light steps and ever-present smile made it clear he was feeling joy. Awesome. So Nobunaga didn't blame him after all. Aang. A voice that made the scalp tingle suddenly rang out, stabbing into their minds and raising their hackles. "Don't look at it." Leo recognized the sound. It resembled the ominous tone that played when an Enderman appeared in Minecraft. "Then I'll close my eyes." Sure enough, after a moment, Pale vanished into the distance. "It's Shade. I know how to deal with him." "Who's Shade?" Leo turned around, ready to explain Shade's characteristics to Daphne. "Nobunaga? Nobunaga." In front of Leo and Daphne, a headless corpse lay on the ground. A pixelated katana hung at the corpse's waist. Nobunaga. Leo's dialogue box kept flashing with Nobunaga's name, but... "Leo, I'm so sorry." He didn't look at Daphne's dialogue box. He was drowning in sorrow. Why Nobunaga? He was such a good guy. "Daphne, take Nobunaga back. I'll return soon." Leo gripped Dragon Son tightly and dashed after Pale, determined to retrieve Nobunaga's head. Leo soon vanished into the distance, and seeing this, Daphne had no choice but to carry Nobunaga's body back. Inside the stone house. Was that Leo? Was it Nobunaga? What happened? Why did Nobunaga end up like this? Daphne gave a bitter smile. She wanted to know too. But in a blink, Nobunaga's head had been taken by Pale. That monster? Damn it. I'm going to avenge Nobunaga. Finks stormed out of the house in a fury. Though he and Nobunaga often argued and teased each other, they had been surprisingly close, especially after the troops' collapse. They were like brothers in arms. Kill. 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 Finks sprinted across the lush green fields, rage written in every floating dialogue box above his head. Aang. It's you. You killed Nobunaga. Finks faced Pale without fear. He raised his fist and began rotating it rapidly. His aura intensified, but just as he struck, Pale vanished like it had teleported. Years of combat experience told Finks the monster was still nearby and about to strike. But even with N activated, Finks couldn't sense Pale at all. Aang. That eerie sound returned. Finks knew then, he was finished. Don't give up. At the last second, Leo caught up and joined the fray. He drew Dragon Son, summoned an ice dragon, and surrounded the area with frost. Where is Nobunaga's head? Leo demanded. If this creature was truly related to Shade, it might have some form of consciousness. Pale clearly understood written text, but it didn't recognize Nobunaga, so it couldn't identify the head. When it didn't respond or move, Leo struck in frustration. But Pale's body remained immune to physical damage. Leo's devastating slash only gouged the ground. Pale didn't flinch. It began teleporting again, but Leo's ice dragon blocked it. The creature hesitated, flickering back and forth near the icy barrier. Leo's eyes narrowed. Shade had feared water, could Pale be the same? He chipped off several icicles from the dragon and cooled the area with frost. Soon, puddles formed all around him, soaking even his own clothes. He rushed Pale, not with a sword, but splashing water. Pale recoiled, visibly distressed, and rolled on the ground. But the next moment, it teleported beside Leo, reaching for his head. Leo stiffened slightly but stepped back and flung more water. Pale thrashed on the ground, clearly agitated. After a few repetitions, it grew furious. With a screech like a dying pig, it lifted a huge chunk of land and hurled it at Leo. A smirk crossed Leo's face. That's not how you flip the table. He sliced the airborne earth into countless fragments with a single blade of energy. Seeing this, Pale picked up another chunk, this time aiming for the ice dragon. It was strong. The massive clod of earth smashed into the dragon's tail, shattering it. Pale slipped through the breach and vanished. Leo wanted to chase it, but it had already disappeared without a trace. Chapter 78. Leo dispersed the ice dragon, and a pale sense of powerlessness crept over him. In the hunter world, destructive power alone doesn't define strength. Take Pale as an example. He could teleport, had incredible strength and high defense. There was no easy way out. Though Pale had behaviors reminiscent of an Enderman, his health bar was clearly dozens, or even hundreds, of times that of Shade. Hee. A line of laughter floated above Fink's head. But since sound didn't exist in this world, no one could tell if it was bitter or amused. The two returned to the stone house, shoulders heavy with gloom. Nobunaga's body had been stored in the bulge-eyed fish's stomach. He couldn't be left to rest in a place like this. Tell me, how do we crack this secret realm? Everyone fell silent, except for Daphne, who turned toward Leo. She still remembered. Leo seemed to know Pale. Do you have any ideas? Leo remained quiet. He was still recovering from the shock of Nobunaga's death. Let's not pressure him. We'll figure it out ourselves. Yeah, let him have space to process. But what could they do? Faced with a teleporting, bloodlocking monster, the group fell into silence. Then, a village appeared out of nowhere, less than 100 meters from their location. It was the base of Prince Halkenberg's forces. They were facing nearly the same problem. Pale's indiscriminate attacks had already killed over 50 of their people. Prince Halkenberg and his entourage no longer dared step outside. The princes of Kaken had their Nen beasts awakened through the egg in the pot ritual. That meant their strength was overly dependent on their Nen beasts, and if those powers were cracked, or faced something beyond their scope, they'd be helpless. Just like now, Prince Halkenberg had no answer for the teleporting monster. But what worried him most was that they didn't even know where to begin solving this. If he could tame the creature, he believed he could end the succession war outright. He thought of Leo, that remarkably strong man. If he could get Leo on his side, he'd have an unbeatable trump card. Instead of sending a messenger, this time Prince Halkenberg went himself. He arrived at the stone house and spoke directly. I need your help. To deal with Pale? Pale? That's a fitting name. Yes, I plan to take action against him. Everyone looked to Leo. His opinion was essential now. Water. It's afraid of water. But its vitality is overwhelming, so it needs to be sealed in a water-filled space. Can you manage that? Leo asked. Not yet, said Prince Halkenberg, but people always come up with solutions. We'll find a way. They began planning the battle. Every detail was critical. First, they needed someone to distract Pale. That person had to be powerful enough to survive the encounter. Everyone turned to Leo. He knew the riskiest task would fall to him, but this time, he welcomed it. He wanted Nobunaga's head back. The next step was to control Pale, preventing him from teleporting. Maybe I can try. Daphne extended a stone whip shaped like flowing water. And the water? Asked Leo. Leave it to me. I'll gather enough, said Prince Halkenberg. After hearing this, Pale almost sounds easy to deal with. Yeah, seems pretty simple. The two brothers who loved to joke were ignored, and the planning continued. 1 hour later, Prince Halkenberg returned with 50 elite men and 30 buckets of water. Leo and the others were ready to act. Just as the group prepared, Pale showed up, on his own. He was holding 2 cube-shaped heads. Someone else had been killed. Leo was furious. In a single bound, he leapt forward. Pale reacted instantly, blinking 100 meters away, then hurled one of the heads like a weapon. Boom! Boom! The cube head exploded like TNT, creating 2 deep craters. Leo stood beside one of the pits, unharmed. Just as he couldn't hurt Pale, Pale's attacks had no effect on him. Maki and others assisted Daphne from outside, trying to control Pale. She deployed several Nen traps. If Pale stepped into one, she could immobilize him for a moment or two. But when he did step in, the pull was so intense it nearly dragged Maki into the air. Only with help from Shizuku, Finks, and the others holding her back could she maintain control. At the same time, Daphne's water stone whip struck. She formed 7 watery tentacles that attacked from all sides. The moment they wrapped around Pale, he teleported again, giving no one time to react. Daphne, the one in control, was violently flung around. She sustained serious injuries, but didn't release her grip. Seeing this, Prince Haukenberg led his men forward. Their Nen abilities all activated at once, not to fight, but simply to splash Pale with water. Pale kept teleporting. Daphne was at her limit, her grip weakening. That's when Leo made his move. He had figured out how to completely restrain Pale. He would freeze him. This demanded incredible speed. His ice blade had to reach Pale before he could teleport. So he initiated Sword Zero at maximum velocity. Omitting the preliminary strike meant long prep time. When the blade was drawn, time seemed to stop. The chill radiating out formed a long road of ice. It's a bit cold. Me too. At the end of that icy path stood Pale, frozen in place. Leo didn't ease up. He told Prince Haukenberg to keep soaking the area as he expanded the frost radius. Soon, a 5-meter-wide ice flower bloomed across the wilderness. While everyone celebrated the success, Prince Haukenberg secretly fired a vaporized arrow into the ice flower. Moments later, everyone saw Pale blinking rapidly inside the ice, almost like he was begging for mercy. It was disturbingly human. Once Prince Haukenberg confirmed the blink count, he ordered his men to break the ice flower. "What are you doing? Do you want even more people to die? It's fine. Let him smash it." Having been involved from the start, Leo noticed Prince Haukenberg's odd behavior immediately. Though confused, he might now learn something about the prince's ability. Too much about this world, especially post-Chimera Ant arc, remained a mystery to Leo. But that was part of the joy of discovery. Still, Nobunaga. Ah! Leo let out a deep sigh, grief written in every pixel of his face. Life and death were never merciful, or fair. Chapter 79. Time passed painfully slow in the pixel world. If the clocks on their wrists weren't mistaken, they had been in daylight for a full 48 hours. The sun was finally setting, its golden red light streaming through the stone house windows and casting long shadows across everyone's square faces. Leo felt uneasy. He pulled up a floor tile and blocked the window. "This is too dark," muttered a small cube figure with bubbles above his head. "What about this?" Leo chiseled out a new window on the wall opposite the setting sun. Beams of light filtered in, illuminating 13 square silhouettes. 9 more people had joined the inexplicable organization known as December. Daphne stood beside a black cube figure, while the Killua brothers were digging out additional space for the stone house. "Careful not to dig into lava," Daphne called to the brothers, who were tunneling deeper and deeper underground. "How could that happen? We're still on the surface, there shouldn't be magma." A dialogue box popped up from beneath the floor. The brothers had indeed dug dangerously far down. Let them dig. No one knows what the 48 hours of darkness will bring. That tunnel might end up saving our lives. Leo pondered the worst. If this world mimicked a hardcore Minecraft Abyss scenario, nighttime could spawn all kinds of monsters. In a normal world, even beginners needed to work together. So what kind of horror awaited a group? Could a creeper from this abyss act like a nuclear bomb? Could a skeleton's enchanted bow pierce the sky? Even a lowly zombie might be made of actual iron and steel. Silence fell. Night crept in, slowly, silently. Leo lit torches all around the stone house, hoping to prevent a catastrophe. With all these lights, you're practically inviting the monsters to find us, Fink scoffed. I believe Leo has his reasons, Daphne countered. Maybe monsters avoid light. During the day, we only saw pale. But what comes at night? Maybe tonight. We'll have to head underground to reunite with everyone, Maki said softly. Her words killed the conversation. Everyone in December knew that Maki's intuition was razor-sharp, accurate enough to feel prophetic. Crow's mouth. Yeah. Maki, can you not freak everyone out, please? It's getting a little cold. After that silence, the dialogue boxes flooded with light teasing, covering up Maki's grim observation. Leo smiled faintly. It had been a long time since he'd seen such genuine camaraderie. The wind's picking up. Everyone turned to the single window. A breeze stirred the air, cool, tense. Damn it. They're coming. The words floated above Leo's head, and everyone tensed. Those in December knew Leo's aura detection was always active. If he said something was coming, then it was. No more slacking. Right. The Happy Brothers began to materialize their Nen beasts. These two S-rank bounty criminals were finally ready to show their real power. Are those two really that strong? Daphne asked. Leo shook his head. Honestly? Their abilities are average. They rely on quantity over quality by spawning massive troops ahead of time. He'd fought them before, nearly wiped them out in one strike. Hey! Don't look down on us. Yeah. The Happy Brothers stepped out of the stone house and activated their abilities. But instead of their usual army of three-headed hounds, they conjured a massive, 12-winged giant. Bloodshade? Leo blinked, startled. For a moment, he feared the brothers had fallen under Bloodshade's control. But then he sensed the giant's aura and realized it wasn't quite the same. The Happy Brothers had always had strange telepathic powers. Though this giant didn't match Bloodshade in strength, it was no pushover. Its aura was on par with a pre-autonomous region Leo. Who are you? He's just a nobody. Yes. A cool evening breeze passed through, and with it came a shiver across everyone's backs. After summoning the crying giant, the Happy Brothers also materialized pale. Only then did everyone realize the truth. The Happy Brothers, always overlooked, were true S-class bounty criminals. With all our combined strength, we can hold out for 10 hours. After that, it's up to you. Understood. The bloodthirsty giant and Pale both stood watch near the stone house, preparing for the darkness. Leo nodded. For once, the Happy Brothers were being genuinely helpful. In the village nearby, another Pale stood guard. It was clear the others had also sensed the coming threat. Step. 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 Footsteps approached. Leo began to channel energy, preparing to use his O skill, Sword 1. The December members took up defensive positions, wary of what the dark might bring. Whoosh. A sharp arrow split the night, aimed straight for Leo. Sword 1. Without hesitation, he slashed. A sword hundreds of meters long cut through the darkness, revealing their attacker. A skeleton, pitch black, its eyes glowing with green, will-o'-the-wisp fire. It held a multicolored, enchanted longbow. It's enchanted. The words flashed above Leo's head. No one knew exactly what that meant, but the tension rose. Only Leo had been able to dodge that arrow. Whoosh. 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 More arrows rained down. Even with a sword 100 meters long, Leo could only defend one direction. The attack covered the entire village. Most of the Kakin troops retreated into the stone house for cover. But that only made them easier targets. A stationary object is the simplest thing to hit. The stone house quickly became the skeleton's primary target. Boom. When the smoke cleared, desolation reigned. The skeleton monsters had created a battlefield more brutal with cold weapons than most modern ones. All the stone houses lay in ruins. Square craters pocked the earth. Scarlet liquid, jarringly out of place in this blocky world, began to pool and flow through the village. Leo feared Kakin's forces were nearly wiped out. He didn't know whether Kurapika was safe. But the skeletons didn't give him time to think. The second wave of arrows began. Boom! After 2 volleys, the entire landscape had changed. Leo couldn't stand by any longer, he had to break through. He summoned Dragon Sun, its silver-white blade glowing under the blood-red night. After enduring a third wave of arrows, Leo reached the enemy line. He drew the massive sword back, faking a standard slash, then swept horizontally into the skeleton ranks. Clang! 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 Harsh scraping sounds filled the air. Leo felt enormous resistance, but he didn't stop. He kept pushing, shoving the skeleton horde aside. Chapter 80. Leo held his breath, focusing all his attention on the dark night. His previous blow had decimated the group of skeletons with overwhelming force, but Leo knew the night was just beginning. Ah! Ah! Gradually, faint roars echoed. From shadowed places where light could not reach, red-haired monsters began to shuffle forward. Zombies! Zombies? Yeah, they do look like that. Mo Leawo released hundreds of smoke men, trying to restrain the red-haired zombies. However, zombies could distinguish living beings from illusions, and no fake figures could truly attract their attention. Tonight, I seem useless. Don't sigh, I've been paddling for a long time, Nobunaga patted Mo Leawo's shoulder. In truth, it wasn't just the two of them. Since entering the Dark Continent, most elite hunters had become expendable. The danger was simply too great. But this was beyond Netero's decision. Perhaps he believed hunters grew braver through adversity. So far, there was no sign of that, because they always followed behind Leo, unable to see the vast world ahead. Leo realized this upon entering the wetland. He disbanded the team and pointed them in a single direction. Either perish in the darkness, or explode with power in it. Mo Leawo and the others grasped the reality too late. Looking at the endless horde of zombies, despair began to grow in their hearts. Forget it. Even if I die today, I'll find a few more to fall with me. Mo Leawo rallied, or perhaps this was his last surge of strength. Leo noticed the shift but lacked the power to turn the tide. The fiercer he fought with his sword, the more energy he consumed. Dealing with these thick-skinned monsters for 48 hours was a pipe dream. Aang! That familiar voice startled everyone in December fighting zombies. Is there pale at night? Of course, and he's even more brutal. Leo avoided big moves, fighting with pure swordsmanship. Though the zombies were tough, their rigid movements made them clumsy. But the tall white shadow among the zombies complicated matters. That was a monster requiring full preparation to face, but now another appeared, far more aggressive. The pale manifested by the Happy Brothers was no match. Something's about to happen. This pale is too strong. Leader. I'll leave this to you. Yes. No choice. If Leo didn't hold Pale back, someone in December would lose their head within minutes. Sword 2. The ice dragon surged forth. Leo rode it, attacking Pale from above. Each sweep of the dragon's tail froze large swaths of space, but his sword energy couldn't catch Pale, who teleported unpredictably. And Pale's health bar was mysterious, ordinary sword strikes showed no damage. Frustrated, Leo shuttled back and forth, chasing the monster. Whoosh! Suddenly, a golden-armored skeleton archer entered the battlefield. A multicolored arrow shot across the sky and pierced Leo directly, blood spurting from his wound. Leo. Are you okay? Leo fell, propping himself up despite the pain. A dialogue box. It's okay. appeared above him. Because of the blocky concealment, no one could see his injury. Seeing Leo still able to speak, the others relaxed. But was Leo really okay? He brushed his flat torso. The arrow had pierced his ribs and lungs. Though it didn't stop him fighting, the skeleton archer forced him to divert attention. That was dangerous when facing Pale. Goo. Pale watched from a distance as Leo was struck by the arrow but surprisingly did not pursue the kill. Leo was glad. He used the opportunity to slip beside Maki. Without words, Maki saw the arrow that had pierced him and quickly treated the wound. "There's nothing I can do for the bones. They're broken badly." Leo nodded, then returned to the fight. This time, Pale seemed to have lost the will to attack, teleporting endlessly but never striking. This confused Leo. Was it pity after being shot? Absolutely not. Pale looked hesitant. Was it afraid of someone? The archer? No, it was the arrow itself. The enchanted arrow's spirit lingered on its body, keeping Pale from attacking. Realizing this, Leo pulled the enchanted arrow from the ground and showed it to Pale. Pale flashed several times instantly, clearly afraid. Leo rejoiced. He found the monster's weakness. It was an enchanted weapon. A kind of rule-like power that could overcome powers under different rules. Like Pale's terrible health bar. Everyone, collect shining weapons. They're the monster's weakness. Leo's words galvanized the group. They surged toward the skeleton soldiers without fear. Leo sighed in relief. Tonight's battle might not be so hopeless after all. Mobius Coast. The pioneers had finally crossed the Black Forest. Because their path differed from Leo's, they entered a tropical rainforest. Camilla Greyfriars moved reluctantly toward the palace. At this moment, Jean hadn't noticed beyond Netero and Hisoka sneaking away. "Why not kill that woman first?" Hisoka asked, meaning Camilla. "Because of Kaken's special mind beast, she can resurrect," Beyond Netero explained. "Interesting. How does she resurrect?" "The moment her killer touches her body, her spirit, more powerful than when alive, transforms into a giant black cat behind the killer. It wraps the killer with its claws while meowing, converting the killer's life into liquid stored at the cat's tail. When the killer dies, the cat injects all the liquid back into Camilla, restoring her to full health." Terrifying. "But what if the black cat can't kill me?" "Ha, what do you think?" Beyond Netero said, smirking. Hisoka instantly understood, that was her weakness. Behind them, Illumi was entangled by a woman. He had planned to follow Hisoka to uncover their scheme. This ordinary woman's body, despite appearances, was strangely abnormal. "If you disappear now, I may spare your life." Mew smiled faintly. "Then I'll wait and see." Chapter 81. With the help of Leo, the December clan and the Eastern Master and Servant all obtained 1 or 2 enchanted pieces of equipment, and even the Killua brothers who were mining got 1. But the situation on the 9th Prince's side was not so good. At this moment, his army had been reduced to a mere few dozen people, who were fighting stubbornly. Kurapika was also among them, but no other figures could be seen around him, and it was unknown whether Nyan Melody and others were still alive. Seeing this, Leo planned to include the 9th Prince and others in his defense range. Under the current circumstances, it is always good to have one more person. He asked Nobunaga to deliver the message. Holding the enchanted sword, Nobunaga did not question at all, and broke through the encirclement of zombies alone and rushed into the stone village. A moment later, he led the charge again, leading the survivors of the Heavens Arena, Kajin. I have to say that Nobunaga was very brave tonight. But after he got the enchanted iron sword, the enchantment of this sword should be fire. After cutting the zombies, flames would burst forth and gradually burn them to death. The Heavens Arena fighters were jealous, but they didn't dare to rob him. The man came with good intentions, and he had Leo behind him, a monster who could wrestle with Pale. When they arrived at the stone house, Nobunaga, under Leo's instruction, explained the origin of the enchanted equipment. So everyone set their eyes on the zombies that were shining brightly. "Look! It has a set of blue enchanted equipment. Don't grab it, I found it first." One of the Heaven's Arena hunters exclaimed and rushed over. His Nen ability was a spear. All materialization type users had special abilities, and his spear was no exception. He transformed his weapon into the giant god soldier and fired it at a diamond-armored zombie. The giant spear pressed the diamond zombie into the ground. Giant god soldier. Leo, who was chasing Shade in the distance, was a little surprised. This guy seemed capable, but he didn't know how solid that giant weapon hundreds of meters long really was. After all, the diamond armor was so strong that even his sword energy left no visible mark. Ah! The hunter who was about to claim the diamond armor let out a wail and disappeared along with the giant god soldier. Don't have any illusions about equipment above iron level. Our iron sword was taken by Leo. The blue one is diamond level and the strongest equipment. It's not something we can covet. After seeing the hunter's tragic death, Nobunaga quickly cautioned them. Why didn't you say it earlier? Is it possible they asked Finks to test the strength of the diamond level zombie? Damn it. Finks, the master of the giant god soldier, apparently had several companions complaining about his death. It wasn't me who sent him against the diamond zombie. After saying this, Nobunaga moved further away from the Heaven's Arena group. He knew that humans acted irrationally when it came to loss and separation. Sometimes, even a simple cough could spark complaints. After the ninth prince consoled them a few words, he examined Leo's group's equipment. Almost everyone had 1 or 2 iron-grade enchanted items, and they were actively killing zombies. He was a little envious, but quickly dispelled this inappropriate emotion. After all, tonight's defeat was due to his own incompetence as a leader. That guy is so small. Or rather, a little cute. Where is it? Let me see. The Heaven's Arena fighters gathered and indeed spotted a little zombie riding a black chicken. Quickly disperse. Leo, near Shade, saw this and hurriedly warned them. Leo didn't know how fast the chicken knight enhanced by this world could be, but he could imagine the black chicken at this time comparable to a terrifying raven. But before anyone could heed Leo's warning, a black laser pierced them. Even Leo couldn't track its path clearly. The speed of light? This was no joke. After the black beam passed, at least half of the Heaven's Arena team fell. After searching carefully among survivors, Leo found Kurapika, still chained. Relieved, he accidentally lost Shade, and had no choice but to help the remaining dozen scavenge for enchanted gear. The chicken knight had disappeared into the darkness. If he wasn't preparing for another assault, he would wait for the opportune moment. Leo knew the situation was critical, so he led the Heaven's Arena hunters to hunt enchanted gear. The first target was an armored zombie. Except for its shoes, the entire body was enchanted. One zombie was enough to supply 3 people, and kill the rest. Next, they targeted skeleton archers. They lacked backline firepower, so an enchanted bow firing hundreds of enchanted arrows was invaluable. After a few skirmishes, Heaven's Arena hunters upgraded their gear. It was a pity only a dozen remained of 1,000 strong. I really envy the guys underground. Yeah, why can they stay underground while we fight these monsters to the death? Leo was slightly stunned. It seemed the ninth prince had hidden some soldiers in advance. A wise decision. Nyan Melody should be among them. People with the ability to predict the future were precious assets. Still, his approach was better. Only a dozen here meant hope, not total despair. Food and water were insufficient now, so manpower to support logistics was essential. Didn't you notice? After killing zombies, your energy increases. Yes, I feel my energy is at least 1.5 times greater than before. Me too. You're all here. I thought I was alone. Keep warm by thinking of health, and stay safe by not thinking of danger. After everyone got enchanted gear, they chatted while resisting the zombie tide. Leo looked at the lively conversation with some irritation. But knowing the chat's content, he felt pleased. Communication and brainstorming would help. Due to his own abundant nen, Leo could not sense his body's changes. But for other hunters, especially those with weak nen, the sudden surge was obvious. Experience value. A dialogue box appeared above Leo's head. Once someone noticed it, others nodded in agreement. Indeed, this world resembled a survival game. Perhaps after tonight, we will have enough strength to conquer the Dark Continent. Someone hoped, the explosive energy surge giving them determination to expand. Leo laughed when he saw this. If conquering the Dark Continent were so easy, he wouldn't have to work this hard. Rainforest area. Hisoka and beyond Netero explored toward the other princes, and not far away, Illumi and Mew followed quietly. Can you please stop bothering me? Illumi had tried to expel Mew by force, but to no avail. His attack seemed to hit thin air and caused no harm to Mew. I'm also curious about those two people, and they might give me unexpected rewards, Mew said greedily. Then you don't need to follow me. I can pay you to leave. For some reason, Illumi truly hated having Mew around. I can do one thing for you. The reward is, let me stay with you. Haha. Then go find my brother. Illumi replied with a smile. Your brother? Let me see. Mew counted on her fingers, looking mysterious. After a moment, she smiled. You mean the brothers here, Zoldyck? I have to tell you an unfortunate fact. Illumi's expression tightened. He asked coldly, what happened to them? They're with a very strong man, so you don't have to worry. The misfortune I refer to is that the man once fought alongside you. Apparently, you betrayed him, right? Fought side by side? Leo? Illumi's face darkened. That's right. To achieve his goals quickly, he had abandoned Riage, but didn't expect that Killua and the others would encounter Riage first. What was even stranger was how Riage escaped from the giant. Chapter 82. A 48-hour night is both long and short. With a hint of regret in their hearts, everyone sat together quietly, awaiting dawn. Cain, go and call out the people underground. From today on, the night will be our paradise. The ninth prince sent people to call out the refugees from underground, most of whom possessed special telepathic abilities. Soon, Nyan and Melody found Kurapika, but the haiku ability user Basho was missing. He was likely buried under the rubble. Basho is dead, Kurapika explained what had happened the night before. Basho had also chosen to hide in the stone house and, just in case, reinforced it with haiku. But the power of the enchanted arrow was too terrifying, and Kurapika, who had used it himself, understood its strength all too well. Far away. In the stone house of Leo and the others. It seems like the ninth prince has no intention of leaving, sighed Daphne. This is indeed a good place to train soldiers. It's understandable he wants to stay. What about us? I think it's good to continue. Everyone had different opinions, so they turned to Leo, hoping he would decide. The question is, do you even know how to leave? Silence filled the stone house. Yes, even if they wanted to leave, how? We must prepare for a long-term battle, especially now that Nobunaga's spatial ability can't be used. Leo glanced at Nobunaga. Due to his convenient teleportation, most of their food had been stored in the fourth-dimensional apartment. But after entering this unknown space, Nobunaga's portal was locked, as if missing a key. Sorry. Nobunaga lowered his head. He knew Leo had no ill intentions, but he still felt ashamed. It's okay. This world must have its own unique rules. Just like you can't connect the Dark Continent and the human world, I don't blame you. Yes, if anyone deserves blame, it's the 9th Prince of Kakin, or whoever decided to follow him, Humph. After Nobunaga's failure, Finks made Leo his new target for taunting and wouldn't let go of any opportunity. Yes, 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 it's all my fault. The people in the stone house didn't chat for long before they started planning their day's survival. There were some fruits and water nearby, but there were still over 200 mouths to feed in Kakin. A few fruits wouldn't be enough. Can the remains of zombies be eaten? Everyone was stunned. What a horrific idea. But when they saw the small username under the message, they relaxed. It was just someone with that kind of personality. It's true, they can be eaten and fill your stomach, but they'll drain your vitality, Leo replied. What is vitality? Read it. So that's how it is. Killing zombies gives you nen, but eating them makes you lose nen. Is that the rule of this world? By the way, Leo, how did you know that? Could it be that you? Did you eat one? Leo didn't respond, not even a thought. He ignored the questions and walked into the tunnel that Killua and his brother had been digging in the corridor's corner. Picking up a torch, Leo gradually observed the underground. Occasionally, some special ores appeared on the wall. Unfortunately, without a pickaxe, the raw stones couldn't be extracted. This place was almost identical to the world he remembered, only the difficulty had been maliciously increased. If this relic had existed for a long time, Leo wondered, was the true form of the Dark Continent actually Earth, thousands of years in the future? Or perhaps the product of a time-traveling ancestor obsessed with survival games? These fantasies were baseless, and no one could guide him. After walking 10 meters deeper, he saw Killua and Aluka gathered around a fire. Are you hungry? Killua pulled out chocolate from his pocket, he still had food. Aluka also revealed the corner of her backpack, showing it was full of snacks. It seemed the siblings were well prepared. Leo sat down with them. Be careful, there's no light underground. That's where monsters live. If you hear strange noises, stay alert. As he spoke, Leo handed 2 enchanted swords to the brothers for self-defense. Thanks. Aluka pulled out a pack of biscuits and offered it to Leo. He didn't take it. With his current strength, he could survive a year without food or water. If you encounter lava, contact me immediately. Also, there are monsters on the surface that can boost your energy. That's perfect for Killua. Let's hunt together at night. Killua nodded but seemed unimpressed. How much could his energy really increase from 1 or 2 monsters? After giving a few more instructions, Leo didn't return to the surface. Instead, he searched for a tunnel far from the siblings. Leo had some experience with conquering this realistic world. Going underground was every beginner's first step. He remembered that in his previous life, once he stored enough food, he mined until death. As time passed, those memories and emotions only grew stronger. Turning over those past chapters, Leo was now simply a hunter exploring the Dark Continent. He had responsibilities and obligations unique to himself. The Dragon Sun sword emerged from its sheath, a slender blade of energy extending from it. Boom! With a loud bang, it pierced through hundreds of meters of rock. Leo strolled through the fissure, but due to his N being limited in solid ground, he didn't discover much. Frustrated, he continued drawing his sword. Meanwhile, those above mistook the tremors for a colossal monster surfacing, and readied themselves in alarm. Leo continued underground, and finally, his persistence paid off. He discovered a cave. Hiss. Goo. Ah. All sorts of strange noises came from within. It seemed a large number of monsters had gathered. Leo paused, drawing the Dragon Sun. He observed carefully to see if a creeper was among them. Those creatures were natural disasters. After confirming that the armless figure wasn't there, Leo charged in without hesitation. In this enclosed space, even pale wouldn't scare him. Though not as overwhelming as the zombie horde that came at night, clearing the cave's monsters had an obvious effect. The air even smelled better. Leo was puzzled why anyone would want to leave such a precious place. After confirming that no monsters would respawn here, Leo explored further. Unlike in the game, these monsters were non-renewable resources. That was crucial. In other words, if given enough time, Leo could clear out this entire world, and perhaps then, the door out would naturally appear. Chapter 83. The long day finally passed, and Prince Haukenberg and his group, as well as December and the others, were gearing up, awaiting the arrival of experience packs. But Leo was not among them. Just like in his previous life, he was addicted to mining. Deep underground. The gradually increasing heat made Leo's face tense. He knew magma was about to appear. This was important, it related to deeper exploration of this world, the netherworld. However, before opening the portal, he was unsure what kind of world lay beyond it. After carefully clearing a few rocks, a red glow reflected on Leo's square-shaped avatar, and boiling magma flowed at the cave's far end. He blocked off unnecessary tunnels nearby, leaving only a path that led directly to the magma, then rushed back to the surface. He estimated the hunt had already begun. On the way, he brought the Killua siblings with him. Now armed with enchanted weapons, it wasn't only Prince Haukenberg's group that felt emboldened. Leo was also confident he could help Killua level up. It was completely dark now. No trace of starlight remained, the endless night had devoured the sky. Near the stone house, the three saw decaying zombie remains scattered everywhere in the faint firelight. Not far off, a horde of zombies were attacking the few remaining survivors. Sword 0. Dozens of silver-white slashes of sword aura swept through the battlefield, giving the surrounded survivors a moment to breathe. They quickly regrouped around Leo. What happened? Where is everyone? Are they underground again? Leo asked, scanning the 20 or so people before him. He couldn't see Morel's distinctive pipe, nor Nobunaga in his signature suit, nor Maki with her purple hair, nor the dark figure that usually stood behind Daphne. There are some non-combatants underground, but not many, maybe less than 50. The rest are here. I'm sorry, Leo. Daphne's voice trembled slightly, betraying the hesitation in her heart. Morel, Nobunaga, and Maki are all dead. We ran into a group of newbies, Finks murmured, head lowered. He was severely wounded and likely wouldn't make it. The phantom troop had finally reached its end. Haha, so Maki's intuition was wrong after all. Leo couldn't bring himself to laugh, but the laugh still came, hollow and self-mocking. He had forgotten the passage of time. If he'd returned earlier, he might have been able to handle whatever rookies arrived. Maki isn't dead yet. Bubbles appeared over Shizuku's head. Still alive? Leo perked up. Even the faintest glimmer of hope was worth pursuing now. Dead. The weakened Finks collapsed to the ground. Still alive. Shizuku insisted, sitting across from Finks and arguing with him. Leo looked eastward. Shizuku was clearly in a disturbed state, she could be imagining things. Dead. Daphne shook her head. Those two words shattered Leo's final hope. Maki, what do you think I can't let go of? Shizuku said nothing. She patted Finks a few times. He didn't move. Dead? Leo rushed over and checked Finks' breathing. Dead. Am I going to die too? Shizuku looked up at Leo. There was no emotion on her square face, but Leo couldn't bear to meet her eyes. He turned his head away, struggling to breathe. So he exhaled deeply. Ha! Ha! You won't die. Two dialogue boxes appeared above Leo's head. Then, gripping the dragon sun tightly, he slashed into the approaching zombies again. Why? Why? Why did they die so easily, without giving me a chance to save them? Leo was tormented. He had feelings for the Phantom Troop and carried guilt. Even though he'd chosen justice and destroyed the troop, he'd let down too many people on a personal level. He had wanted to help the few remaining survivors to soothe his conscience, but he had been arrogant. Too arrogant the moment he agreed to enter the Dark Continent. Sword Zero. In just a second, sword aura slashed out over 100 times, and Leo entered overclock mode again. At that moment, he didn't want to think, didn't dare to think. Under the flood of sword energy, the zombie horde collapsed. A few skeleton archers tried to launch a sneak attack, but they couldn't pinpoint Leo's location. While they hesitated, a wave of cold sword energy pierced through them. Where is Pale? Blood boiling, Leo charged forward, seeking vengeance for everyone. That's enough. Kurapika silently summoned a chain to restrain Leo, hoping to calm him. You think I'd fall for the same trick twice? Leo always maintained his and Gyo was like second nature now. Before Kurapika's chain touched him, Leo had already dodged to the side. Just like you said, revenge doesn't solve everything. But it makes me feel better, Kurapika. Don't try to give me a speech. With that, Leo slashed toward the sky, and suddenly appeared above it. Pale's teleportation ability was bizarre, usually random. Now high in the air, Leo's field of vision was broader than ever. Although all he saw was pitch black, he could faintly make out Pale's outline. But Pale teleported again, his figure vanishing like foam in the wind. Asshole! Leo shouted furiously, then floated back down and gently landed in front of everyone. It's my fault. I should have come back sooner. No one responded, no one agreed or objected. Yes, had he returned earlier, those little monsters wouldn't have stood a chance. But the others could have also survived if they'd chosen to hide underground. They had walked this path of their own volition. In this battle, nearly every survivor had doubled their nen. But it had come at the cost of their comrades. They must not lose hope. This is reality. We can't live in your shadow forever. Let's keep moving forward. Prince Halkenberg departed with the 13 guards still beside him, but most were no longer human. Some were zombies, some skeletons. Leo glanced at the remaining happy brothers, curly-haired Satsu, black-haired Shizuku, and Daphne, and his heart clenched, as if gripped by an invisible hand. Go back. Leo began contemplating retreat. He didn't want to lose any more companions. Can you find the way? There will be. Chapter 84. Kurapika and Killua were cleaning up the battlefield, finishing off any remaining zombies that were still clinging to life. After repeating this process, Killua was surprised to find that his energy had noticeably increased. The effect is that obvious? Kurapika nodded. At this point, he felt he could even stand against the entire Phantom Troop. Tonight had been a harvest. His nen had more than doubled, and his body had undergone some changes, similar to Leo's sword aura awakening, but it couldn't fully manifest in this blocky world. While looting the corpses, they found incomplete bones. Based on distinct features, they were able to identify some of the remains. After gathering all the bodies, there was no sign of the purple-haired figure that had brought Leo such grief. He immediately asked how Maki had died. Pale twisted her head off. Once Leo heard this, the flicker of hope in his chest extinguished. Reality was too cruel to show mercy. My condolences. Kurapika, sensing Leo's sorrow, offered a brief word of comfort, then quietly left with the Killua brothers toward the cave. He wasn't overwhelmed with anger. On the contrary, after surviving the onslaught of white monsters, he realized his own shortcomings. Hunting in the dark endlessly wasn't practical. He needed to consider learning how to take shelter underground. The night gradually quieted. The zombies seemed to be thinning out, or concentrating elsewhere. Regardless, The second half of the night passed in calm. Early morning. The darkest part of the day came just before sunrise. Leo lay motionless among the corpses, looking like one of the dead himself. No hysteria, no complaints. Only memories of happier times. He remembered Nobunaga's stern yet sincere guidance, Maki's cold-faced warmth, Morel's unwavering resolve, and the abundant rations inside Nobunaga's dimensional apartment. Maybe he really shouldn't have hoped. That way, he wouldn't have to suffer despair. He suddenly realized that the way of nature wasn't cruel, it simply dared not grant too much. The more joy you feel, the deeper the sorrow. Life and death, joy and pain, all are interconnected, all have meaning. A subtle aura of detachment emanated from Leo's still form, a growing indifference to the world. From now on, he would expect nothing. Morning broke. Sunlight shone on the land, dispersing the mist of night. Prince Haukenberg led a team to gather the remains and held a solemn funeral. After all, what they were burying were just cubes. His skill at winning hearts was truly exceptional. A few heartfelt words drew waves of sympathy and support. Leo slowly sat up from the pile of corpses, staring blankly at the blocky sun. "Are you okay?" Shizuku, nudged forward by her two tough older brothers, sent a message bubble. They waved at her to keep talking. "I'm fine. Can you help me find some water?" "Thank you." Leo's calm tone struck Shizuku as odd, though she couldn't quite say why. But Daphne was more perceptive. She could sense the emotional distance in Leo's words. "Are you really okay?" Leo shook his head and stood. "After you get the water, help me carry it to the hole that Killua dug." Once outside the group chat, Leo dived into the cave without another word. "Hey. Something's wrong. The boss is acting weird." "Yeah. Don't talk nonsense." Daphne snapped at the happy brothers. "The boss isn't even human anymore, are you still pretending otherwise?" "Yeah, no point pretending now." Daphne panicked. She hadn't expected such sharp insight from the brothers. She quickly distanced herself to avoid revealing more. "He's running away." "Yeah, big shots always overthink." Satsu, who had been quiet, seemed deep in thought. Only Shizuku was confused. She understood every word the group was saying, yet when strung together, she couldn't grasp the meaning. Underground. Leo felt at peace. With no expectations, he had no worries. He found the magma chamber again and prepared to create obsidian. Unlike diamonds, obsidian naturally forms in blocks. No pickaxe needed, just a sharp enough blade. Once Shizuku delivered the water, Leo began channeling the lava into a prepared pool. Under her stunned gaze, the purple-black stone began to solidify. What's the principle behind this? No idea. Obsidian was indeed tough, Leo's sword aura couldn't easily cut it. But he had time, and he could grind it down. By noon, Leo had brought 14 black stones to the surface. He had considered placing the portal underground, but the surface was safer. If a monster came through, it would be easier to handle up top. The blocks in this world could stick together, so Leo quickly constructed a stone frame, 4 wide, 6 tall. He inserted a torch into the frame. A purple light film shimmered to life. Just in case, Leo enclosed the frame in more stone so no one would know what he was doing inside. Once preparations were complete, Leo stepped into the portal. Suddenly, everything went black, like entering the world of the dead. When he regained consciousness, he found himself in a blazing hot realm. So hot, his clothes began to smolder. He knew it instantly, this was the underworld. Following the firelight, he was shocked to see beyond Netero, Hisoka, and Illumi. How is that possible? Leo realized he could speak, and his body was normal, except for the burning clothes. He turned around, the portal was gone. The pixel world felt like a dream. Leo? Why are you here? Hisako was the first to recognize him. Leo's aura had changed dramatically. Beyond Netero then recalled the monster he had once recruited. This is my line. Why are you three here? Leo's voice carried a quiet grief, as though something vital had been lost. Humph. Young man, don't get cocky. Beyond Netero snorted, clearly displeased. Explain. Leo's tone dropped, and an overwhelming pressure fell on Beyond Netero, Hisaka, and Illumi, who stood a bit away. You. Beyond Netero's eyes widened in fury, but he couldn't speak. The pressure was unbearable. Moments passed. All three were drenched in sweat. Realizing the gap in strength, Beyond Netero reluctantly explained, "This is a relic known as the Flame World. I learned about it from a senior." Relic? The Pixel World's underworld was actually a relic of the Dark Continent? Leo asked, "What are you doing here?" I promised Hisaka I'd help him grow stronger. This place is perfect for that. So there were experience boosts here too. And you? Leo turned to Illumi. Seeing this, Illumi knew he couldn't hide any longer. He stepped forward and admitted he'd followed them out of curiosity. Huh? Why didn't I notice you? Hisako was surprised. He hadn't sensed Illumi or Beyond Netero being followed. I was with the woman named Mew. I see. Hisaka and Beyond Netero nodded. If Mew was involved, it made sense, they couldn't detect her. Mew? But there are only 3 of you here. Leo was puzzled. Oh? So you can't see her either. Beyond Netero laughed. Where is she? Leo had cast his N wide, but found nothing. She was hiding where I came from, said Illumi, pointing. Then bring her here. Leo still detected nothing, so it was better to bring her out first. Mew? When Illumi turned around, Mew was gone. Even the ground showed only his own footprints. It was as if Mew had never existed. Chapter 85. Illumi was a little surprised and asked, "What's going on with Mew?" Compared to Beyond Netero, who solemnly shook his head, Hisaka's expression showed clear curiosity. That woman suddenly appeared on the black whale. Interestingly, the stronger someone is, the vaguer her presence becomes. Leo didn't fully understand what Hisaka meant, so he turned his attention back to the world around them. Beneath the cliff where they stood flowed a long river of boiling magma. Nearby, strange creatures loomed. Flying jellyfish, sword-wielding pig-headed monsters, deep red slimes, and flame-covered demons. They looked unfamiliar at first, but Leo quickly recognized them: ghasts, zombie pigmen, magma cubes, and blazes. Beyond Netero, where did you learn about this world? Leo asked seriously. From someone insignificant. You wouldn't understand even if I explained. Hey, how can a nobody know about a demonic realm on the Dark Continent? Hisaka also noticed the monsters below. There was no doubt, this was a realm of monsters. Beyond Netero closed his eyes and didn't move, clearly unwilling to say more. Could it be an angel? Leo asked casually. What's wrong with you? Seeing Beyond Netero open his eyes in shock, Leo was also stunned. He had only been bluffing, but it really was the angel Jaeger had mentioned? What was that birdman who could predict the future trying to do? Leo felt a pang of helplessness. Being manipulated by others was a miserable feeling. He tore off his charred uniform, revealing the gleaming armor beneath, and turned to Beyond Netero and Hisaka. If you want to fight the monsters down there, this is your basic equipment. Where did you get it? Leo pointed down at the monsters. I stole it. Then he dashed to the cliff's edge and leapt into the air. Hisaka followed instantly. Had he activated Gyo, he would have seen that bungee gum had already attached to Leo. The heat scorched their skin. As the magma loomed below, Hisaka's eyes sparkled with madness. 10 meters from the magma, Leo slashed sideways with sword aura and yanked Hisoka aside. "Aren't you afraid I'll throw you into the lava?" Leo said coolly. Hee, I don't know what you've been through, but I don't think you'd do something so dull." Hisoka cracked his joints and turned to the nearby monsters, ready to fight. "Kill the red magma monsters first. Don't touch the pigmen." "Why?" Leo didn't explain. Instead, he demonstrated. The moment Leo killed a pigman, the rest instantly turned on him, charging with terrifying aggression. Hisoka felt the pressure, like mountain-crushing waves. These things weren't to be messed with. Seeing Leo dive into combat, Hisoka turned his sights to the red monsters. What was interesting was that as long as he didn't provoke the pigmen, they ignored him entirely. It made hunting easy. Soon, he spotted the red slime. Sticky monster? Hisoka speculated. Since Leo had told him to kill it first, maybe it wasn't too dangerous. Before he finished that thought, Hisoka had already set up bungee gum ropes. What should I call this one? He bounced along the side ropes, accelerating. Soon, he was moving too fast to see, just a whirlwind in the ring. The magma cube was shredded to bits, but Hisoka didn't stop. The pieces kept wriggling. Only after several splits did they finally dissolve. Hisoka slowed and came to a stop. So magical? Just one magma cube had boosted Hisoka's energy by 20%. He looked at Leo, still battling among the pigmen. How much stronger had he gotten? Heat flashed in Hisoka's eyes as he returned to hunting. But Illumi and Beyond Netero weren't so lucky. They had hitched a ride here and didn't know the monster's taboos. They were descending slowly along a ridge, still about 2 kilometers from Leo. Pixel World. After Leo entered the portal, the light film began to collapse, and the gateway slowly crumbled into debris. The sky darkened, and most people retreated underground. The sudden spike in Nen had made them briefly bold, but the high mortality of zombie hunting was still fresh in their minds. They had to survive, right? Leo hasn't come back yet. Prince Halkenberg paced inside the newly rebuilt stone house. No. Shizuku couldn't understand why Leo left her behind. Did he think she was too weak? The boss isn't human anymore, he probably ran off by himself. Yeah. After the previous night's carnage, most survivors had no interest in continuing the hunt. Without Leo as escort, Prince Halkenberg's military training plan was dead in the water. Where's Miss Daphne? Did she leave with Leo? Not exactly. But she doesn't think highly of us. Once the leader was gone, she left on her own. Yes. Prince Halkenberg lowered his head. Move freely tonight. Hunt if you want. Hide if you want. After he left, the happy brothers gathered around Shizuku. How did the leader leave this world? Shizuku didn't answer. She simply pointed to the rubble-filled area where Leo had been. We checked. It's just a pile of rocks. Yeah. The boss really pulled something crazy. Shizuku entered Leo's tunnel alone, feeling a bit empty. No one was left to talk to. It reminded her of the days before the team found her. It made her uneasy. In another branch of the same tunnel, the Killua brothers, Kurapika, and others were gathered. Leo is missing. Do you have any leads? No. Only Shizuku was with him at the time. But from what I know of him, he might not be gone. Kurapika looked at Killua in surprise. They seemed more familiar than he thought. Where do you think he went? Somewhere we can't reach. A more dangerous world. Kurapika nodded. That was very possible. Leo had always felt restricted when traveling with others. He had to consider their safety. Alone, he could advance freely. Leo's a lazy bastard. Probably off somewhere cozy. Miss, we'd be dead without him, Melody reminded. Chapter 86. The world of fire. The land glowed like red-hot iron, and the massive stone pillars and jagged rock walls shimmered with a terrifying crimson light. A giant jellyfish with pale gray markings floated above Leo's head. Upon closer inspection, its face appeared sorrowful, with tattoo-like lines resembling tears flowing from its eyes. It had noticed Leo, let out a chilling sound, and launched a fireball the size of a barrel. Boom! The explosion was immense, blasting apart dozens of stone blocks. Leo didn't dare underestimate it. The ground in the underworld was composed of dense rock, very durable. If one fireball could easily carve a pit over 10 meters deep, its power was obvious. Leo began considering his options. He hadn't used Sword 2 since arriving in the fire world. Due to the extreme heat, the ice dragon was completely ineffective. And Sword Aura required over 100 consecutive slashes just to begin damaging these monsters. That was the price of pushing speed to its limit. Only one choice remained. Sword 1. A dazzling silver-white blade burst forth, illuminating the entire fire world. Hisoka, watching nearby, had to shield his eyes. This monster can hurt people just with the light from his sword? Hisoka rubbed his reddened eyes, feeling a strange emptiness. The 100-meter-long greatsword stood like a mountain, not only dominating the flames, but completely blocking Hisoka's path. How do you even fight that? You can't win. Why is he so strong? Hisoka's swollen eyes stayed fixed ahead as he murmured in disbelief. Shocked? Beyond Netero and Illumi had finally descended from the peak and reached the blazing ground. Just don't think of him as human, Illumi said calmly. Hisoka shook his head. I'll win. One day, I'll defeat him. Then he turned and attacked a magma monster. Power. To beat Leo, he needed real, fundamental power, Nen. Beyond Netero and Illumi tried to join the fight, but Hisoka blocked them with a side rope. These give a unique kind of energy. In other words, don't touch my prey. Fine, I'll go kill a pigman instead, Illumi sighed. At that moment, Hisoka was like a child fiercely guarding his candy. Just as Illumi was about to grab a pigman's neck. I forgot to mention, attacking one will draw aggro from all nearby pigmen, said Hisoka. Startled, Illumi pulled his hand back just in time. It was close, he could practically hear the sound of tearing flesh. What do you mean by all? Asked Beyond Netero, disappointed. He'd been thinking about attacking one too. Probably every pigman in visible range. Hisoka remembered the terrifying horde that had chased Leo after he'd struck one. Boom. A massive impact echoed overhead as the jellyfish monster was sliced in two and fell into the lava. But Leo wasn't done. His sword spun with destructive force, slicing down the army of pigmen nearby. Whoosh. That slash felt incredibly satisfying, clearing Leo's heart of resentment. He actually looked cheerful afterward. But the massacre drew more attention. Waves of new pigmen surged in. Leo didn't care. He unleashed his massive silver blade, and countless beams of sword aura exploded outward like shooting stars. The pigmen didn't stand a chance. These underworld minions had only survived so long by sticking together and ruthlessly punishing any weakness. Unless one of them became a natural enchanter or chicken knight, they were helpless against real power. Standing atop a crimson boulder, Leo gazed toward the fading blade light. He felt a rush of exhilaration, like harvesting fields of energy-rich leeks. His nen surged visibly, his training was on fire. There was no card system in the Hunter x Hunter world, so Leo wasn't sure how to quantify his power. But compared to Netero, his current aura output was likely 10 times higher. That meant the strength of 10 low levels. His nen was no longer just gas, it was a searing, tangible flame. Even Beyond Netero had never seen this kind of phenomenon. Based on years of experience, he concluded this wasn't an elemental type transformation, it was pure growth. A new monster is born. Why does his nen feel alive? Illumi muttered. He remembered how Beyond Netero used to drop by their house for tea when he was younger. The essence of nen is life energy. The hallmark of life is growth. His nen has evolved. Essential growth? Illumi considered this deeply, then abruptly added, "Why couldn't my mother give birth to a girl?" "What?" "Never mind. I just suddenly want a sister." Illumi found some critically wounded pigmen, stuck needles into them, and resumed his search for magma cubes. Aside from Leo, the other three focused solely on slime monsters. Pigmen were too risky. Leo was different. He now stood alone at the top, capable of destroying whatever he wanted. But instead of hunting further, he stood still, absorbing the changes within. His nen had evolved. Even its color was now a vivid crimson. Most remarkably, he'd seemingly become a natural fire-type enhancer. When he willed it, his aura ignited. Flame? Flame might be Sword 3. As a hunter, Leo was never satisfied with simple tools. He dreamed of creating his own Sword 23. Pixel World. Because of time dilation, Leo hadn't been away long, but here, a full night had passed. At dawn, Shizuku fetched a large amount of water from the nearby spring. She'd witnessed Leo make the portal herself, she wouldn't forget how. So what happened again? Shizuku tilted her big, square head, trying to recall something important. "Are you kidding me?" Killua shouted, frustrated. It had only been one night since Leo left, how could she forget? "We might be able to reconstruct it," Kurapika suggested, referring to the portal Leo had built. "Yes, we can." It was hard to rebuild it from the rubble, but Aluka made it look easy. In less than a minute, a 4x6 stone frame stood tall. "Amazing. Oni-chan, it's nothing." The pure bond between the two siblings was touching, but the priority now was escaping this place. "Shizuku, where did the materials come from for the door?" "Still thinking, don't rush me." "Are you sure we need water?" Shizuku's square head nodded twice. "Try introducing magma to water," Kurapika offered. "When magma meets a large amount of water, it solidifies into black rock." "Yes. That's right. It was magma. But the black stone that solidified was super hard, Leo had to grind it down bit by bit." "Then let's dig the mold first and fill it with magma," Killua said. "Yeah. Leo is so stupid." Chapter 87. The portal to the netherworld had been reconstructed by many, but the question remained, where was the key? Or rather, how was the portal opened? So, Shizuku became the center of attention once again. "I think I sort of remember." "Don't stare at me, I'm nervous." "It's over. We'll never figure out what Shizuku forgot." "No way. I'll remember it for sure." Despite her confidence, no one really believed her. At that moment, Daphne appeared. She threw a torch into the portal frame, and suddenly a purple light curtain ignited. "How did you know?" "Yeah, are you spying on the boss?" The Happy Brothers had never liked Daphne much, especially since Leo left. Their hostility was now thinly veiled. "Yes, so what?" A black square man emerged from the shadows of the Happy Brothers and grabbed both by their necks. "I was wrong." "Yeah, totally wrong." Their sudden surrender diffused the tense atmosphere like ice melting in the sun. "Haha, no jokes now. This is the time to stick together." "Yeah, we can't afford internal strife." Several seasoned hunters stepped in to calm things down. After a brief pause, Daphne dismissed the shadow man back into the darkness. The Happy Brothers stared warily at their own shadows. In that instant, they had truly felt death approaching. "All right, the door is open. Are we going in?" After Prince Halkenberg asked, everyone went silent. Leo had likely gone to a far more terrifying world. Would they just be burdens if they followed? Let's go in. We're coming too. Leo wouldn't abandon them. The portal had likely collapsed from overuse when Leo passed through. He might be waiting for them. Otherwise, why would he have made sure Shizuku knew how to build the portal? Kurapika speculated. Or maybe he told Shizuku so we wouldn't follow him. Yeah. Jack and Uwi-chan, apparently recovered from their injuries, were gossiping again. What does that even mean? Shizuku was confused. Why would she be told something but not want others to know it? Look, the door is already built, what's the point in debating? Exactly. Heaven or hell, it's gotta be better than this pit. Some were eager to move forward. They hadn't gained the nen growth others had, and were understandably bitter about the current world. I'll go first. Kurapika handed Nyan and Melody to Killua and stepped through the purple light. After a brief moment of darkness, Kurapika and the portal emerged into the world of fire. But he was no longer a pixelated cube figure. Instead, he stood 180 centimeters tall, a long-haired and strikingly handsome man. He quickly realized his form had changed. But it made sense. With the explosive growth of his nen, his body would evolve. Scanning his surroundings, he quickly picked up on the distant sounds of battle. When he arrived, he saw the blurred figure of Hisoka, and Illumi commanding an army of pigmen. So this is what it's like to step out of the game, he muttered. His quiet voice startled the two mid-battle. Illumi didn't recognize Kurapika at first, but sensed that the long-haired man had immense depth, his nen concealed in a deceptively slender form. Hisoka, however, recognized him. The outfit was still Kurapika's style, but something felt different. Are you Kurapika's sister? That made Kurapika sigh in frustration. Mistaken for a woman again. It's me, Hisoka. Huh? Who? It's Kurapika. What the hell happened to you? It's a long story. But if you keep fighting, you'll find out. Hisoka got the hint. How many monsters did you kill? Maybe a night and a half's worth, Kurapika replied casually. A night? Kurapika, is your concept of time broken? You fought monsters all night? Illumi asked enviously. He had completely fallen in love with this place after learning he could grow stronger by killing. Yeah. But the types vary. Mine were all green zombies, skeletons, creepers, and other monsters. You can't kill them without enchanted gear. Kurapika held up his enchanted sword, boots, and bow. He was the only one in the pixel world with 3 enchanted items. 3? Sell me one? Kurapika instantly refused. These were made for us by Leo. If you want gear, go find him. He should be here. Did I just lose out on a trillion Jenny opportunity? Illumi moaned. You said us. So. Yeah. I was with Prince Halkenberg's team. We met Leo, but suffered heavy losses, only about 200 made it. Are all of them like you? Kurapika shook his head. He had already shared enough, and only because Hisoka once helped take down the Phantom Troop. Where's Leo? Seeing Kurapika was done talking, Hisoka pointed to a high peak. That monster's nen evolved. He's over there gaining enlightenment. Kurapika followed his gaze. Above the flaming peak, a massive flame hovered, and a silhouette could be faintly seen in its center. That had to be Leo. Relieved, Kurapika also felt a little alarmed. Leo's growth was happening way too fast. Brother? Killua and the others had followed Kurapika through the portal. But due to a time gap between worlds, they emerged gradually. Prince Halkenberg came through with his 15 alien guards. Killua, where's Aluka? We came in together. He should be behind us. The portal's just slow. But after more than 200 people crossed, Aluka still hadn't appeared. Kurapika. Nyon is missing. She came in with us, Melody cried out, panicked. Nyon and Aluka? So they're showing their true colors now. Leo appeared behind them, unnoticed. It's Leo. Chief. I always knew you wouldn't abandon us. Yeah. Why did you leave me behind? Is it because I'm too weak? I'm just glad you are okay. Leo glanced at the group but said nothing. Instead, he turned to Killua and spoke gently, I've found a lead on who's behind this. Don't do anything rash. Killua, who was about to charge back toward the portal, froze. He trusted Leo more than anyone, but that was his little sister. I want to go with you. Leo frowned, annoyed. What, for you to give the enemy another bargaining chip? Killua, see. Short break. If you've made it this far, you're either really invested, or too lazy to hit pause lol. Either way, love you, let's keep going. Chapter 88. After Leo stepped through the portal, it collapsed into rubble once more. It seems Leo's thoughts were too powerful, and it drained the portal's energy instantly. That's likely, but it's okay. We're out here now. Voices from Prince Halkenberg's team echoed as their bodies returned to form and spirits lifted. Meanwhile, Hisoka and Illumi quietly took Killua and left the group. Brother, why are we leaving? Because we're not a match. Prince Halkenberg has plenty of enchanted gear, plus a monster army. See what that means? Illumi replied calmly. I get that, Killua whispered, but Prince Halkenberg is reasonable. Hisoka pointed at Kurapika and those who chose to follow. See? Reasonableness depends on the situation. Before Leo arrived, he didn't argue with you. After Leo, he dared not. Now, he won't stand up to you. Killua fell silent, watching Kurapika and others who had just been his comrades. Only seconds ago, they stood together in battle, and now, they parted. This is the adult world. When interests clash, mercy vanishes. Right, Killua, don't be emotional, and don't worry about Aluka. His strength is unmatched. We need to think about ourselves. Aren't you here to save Pakanoda? You need strength first. Brother. Please stop staring at my enchanted swords, Killua frowned, clutching them tightly. But you've got to. They're mine and Aluka's. I can't let go. But Aluka is my brother too. It's okay to give it to me, right? No. His stance was firm and understandable. 2 enchanted swords versus 1 made a huge difference for him. The swords had fire plus plundering, and knockback respectively, ideal attack and defense tools for him. Hisoka, Illumi, how about we knock Killua out and split his swords? Hisoka crept forward, ready to act as soon as Illumi gave the sign. Killua, look at Hisoka, it's hard for me to stop him. How about this, lend me 1 sword and we take him together. Brother, Hisoka, are you guys crazy? Before Killua finished, an invisible force knocked Hisoka and Illumi back 100 meters. On the other side, Leo stepped out of the portal and surveyed the land with a serious look. Below him floated an island blanketed in yellow sand, exuding a bleak, eerie vibe. Black stone pillars jutted skyward, and countless black endermen roamed. The end? Does this portal lead to Viagra? Leo couldn't help smirking. What kind of place was this? If the Nether was hell, this was tier 19. Beyond the endermen, the true overlord here was the Ender Dragon. A massive bonfire glowed atop a stone pillar. In the sky soared a black dragon, over 1,000 meters long, with a wingspan of at least 2 kilometers, appearing as a colossal dark cross. This wasn't the pixel world, Leo could clearly see every scale. It looked like a giant shield plate. But strangely, the dragon showed no aggression or awareness of Leo. Leo decided to exploit the Enderman's protective instinct, turn the dragon against them, then slip by during the chaos. Not the best plan, but he had no other choice. He was stronger than Enderman, but couldn't face the Ender Dragon head-on. To escape, he'd first have to defeat it, or manipulate it to do the job for him. So he needed to spark a war between the two species. The method was simple: make the Ender Dragon attack an Enderman. But Leo failed to realize that Endermen here were not like the Shade from the Pixel world. Several young Endermen had been staring at him intently since he arrived. He knocked an enchanted arrow and shot at the dragon's scales, then quickly targeted a lone Enderman. The ideal target would be a young one, to draw the attention of the entire pack. He knew better than to look at the Enderman directly. Eye contact is provocation. At that moment, the dragon exhaled its scorching breath at Leo. He didn't hesitate, he fired at the young Enderman. Oddly, this Enderman appeared strangely reminiscent of Nobunaga: hooked nose, dark circles under the eyes. Nobunaga? He quickly fired again, redirecting the dragon's breath toward the Enderman. The dragon's flame roasted large areas of land. And then, Leo found himself over 100 meters away, unscathed. I teleported? A low goo sounded behind him. Turning, he saw a black figure nearly at his doorstep. Startled, Leo jumped back, and in doing so, saw Shade's form. Maki? It clicked. The Enderman's features had looked like Nobunaga, but this one looked like Maki. And Endermen ordinarily wouldn't rescue people, so something was very off. Maki, is that you? Goo. Chapter 89. This little black cat, who looked exactly like Maki, was temporarily called Maki by Leo. She couldn't form complete sentences, but would occasionally mumble, "Leo? I'm Leo. You? You're Maki." A warm feeling filled Leo's heart. Hope and reason no longer mattered. Maki was alive, and Nobunaga was still here. Thunder? Yes, I'm your unfilial disciple, Leo. He held Nobunaga's black hand like it was treasure. Letter? Yes, you're Nobunaga. Leo smiled and ignored Shade, and the Ender Dragon locked in battle. It turned out the dragon's breath had engulfed a small black Ender Dragon. Now, aside from Nobunaga and Maki, the other Endermen were hurling weapons at the dragon. The Ender Dragon wasn't an easy opponent. Ordinary projectiles couldn't pierce its scales. Its fire breath wrecked vast swathes of land. The battle was hopelessly unbalanced. Fortunately, Shade could teleport, keeping the fight even. Without him, the Endermen would have been wiped out. In a corner of the island, Illumi smiled, helping Nobunaga and Maki recover their memories bit by bit. They were gradually normalizing, though still unable to speak fully. Good? Really? It's great, right? I get it, it's really great. Leo smiled, though a sadness lingered. Was it right to exist like this, neither fully human, nor a spirit? How are they? The Enderman spoke backward, but for clarity, it's rendered normally. Finks is too injured to recover. Shizuku went into the netherworld. There is a portal over there. Is Finks here? Asked Maki. No. When I was somewhere, I saw almost all the monsters. No Finks, but there were a few from Kakin. Nobunaga replied. Do you remember how you became Shade? Both shook their heads. Their memories were blurred. Without Leo, they might have forgotten who they were completely. No, I can't remember. Me too. I've forgotten much of my past. Leo was stunned. Was Maki X2 possible? Could someone have done this to you? He considered the mastermind behind the kidnapping of Nyan and Aluka, and the transformation of Maki and Nobunaga into Shades. I don't know. Everything feels faded. Yes, I feel the same. Leo pressed his temples in agony. The mastermind was likely the angelic future predictor. Nyan's telepathy served as their memo. Aluka's case was perhaps linked to Nanika. Or something else. As Leo thought, Maki and Nobunaga teleported him repeatedly. The Ender Dragon's attacks grew more intense. The floating island was on the verge of collapse. "You know, teleporting feels amazing," Nobunaga said with a grin. "Yes, the world seems like a transparent sheet of paper now." Leo studied them and nodded. "Now we must defeat the dragon, then we can return." "Return? Like this?" Maki sounded dejected. "Maki, what's wrong with how we look? Aren't our limbs just a bit longer and our skin darker? Aren't Sat's hands and feet long too?" Nobunaga retorted, "Men are more accepting of appearance changes than women." "It's not that. Maki, you look beautiful, wilder, more mysterious," Leo comforted. "Haha, stop saying nonsense." Maki shook her head. "Okay. Let's focus on beating the dragon." "Leo, do you know its weakness?" Nobunaga asked. "I wish I knew. He doesn't show any weak points. We'll have to wear him down through direct hits. Grind it to death. But our attacks feel like tickles." Leo glanced at the giant dragon breathing fire, clearly unharmed. "You stay here. I'll go try." Leo drew the dragon son, but unlike before, didn't prepare or charge. Ya wasn't used. He simply flew straight at it. "Huh? Why no Ia?" Nobunaga asked, confused. All of Leo's Nen abilities began with Ia. What else could he be using? Maki watched silently. Having faced death once, she had grown calmer. As for the Phantom Troop, they were just criminals riding a blade's edge. If they died, so be it. Leo was only settling destiny. World of Fire. Kurapika led Melody, Daphne, Shizuku, Satsu, and Killua into a ruined palace. The neat black and red bricks stood out starkly. Artificial? Very likely. Did Leo say anything? No one answered. Either Leo didn't know, or chose not to say. "Aren't you curious how Illumi knows so much about this world?" Killua asked. "Too many mysteries about that guy," Kurapika replied. He also wondered why Illumi knew about Nanika, and had willed Nanika to resurrect him. That required intimate knowledge of her. Daphne stayed silent. Without Leo present, she lost her usual poise and didn't inquire about his state. "What do you think?" Killua looked at Shizuku, the one closest to Leo among them. "Leo? I don't know." Shizuku hesitated, sounding sulky. "Speaking of Leo, wasn't there a Leo in your hunter exam?" Satsu piped up quietly. "Are you sure?" Kurapika asked eagerly. "Yes, a 16-year-old who dropped out during the test." Satsu had been an examiner, so remembered the name. "Isn't Leo 17 now?" "I'm 18, Shizuku corrected. 18 is right. When we first met last year, he was 17. That means the hunter exam age is 16. By the way, why did he withdraw?" Killua asked. "He had diarrhea. Took forever in the toilet." Tenba. Dongba. Both Kurapika and Killua thought of the drink Tenba offered. "Tenba? I think Leo mentioned that," Shizuku recalled. "He was the final examiner for the Tenba." "Haha. Poor Tenba, guess he still hasn't learned to read." "That proves Leo was part of that experiment. But what does it mean now?" Daphne spoke up. She had investigated Leo thoroughly, but beyond a few blank days around the Sky Arena, everything remained mysterious. "Indeed. It answers many questions," Kurapika snapped coldly at Daphne. "Kurapika? Didn't Leo tell you, you're not an orphan?" For some unknown reason, Daphne teased Kurapika, one of the strongest here. Chapter 90. As soon as Daphne finished speaking, Kurapika's expression darkened, and his pupils filled with rage. "What do you mean? Didn't I make myself clear? There are still survivors of the Korta clan." Unlike Kurapika, Daphne spoke calmly, unfazed by the murderous aura radiating from him. Captives? Don't phrase it like that. They're here, I'm just studying them. You bastard. Kurapika screamed, raising his enchanted sword and thrusting toward the east. Daphne didn't dodge or block, confidence radiated from him, as if certain Kurapika couldn't harm him. When the sword's tip reached Daphne's clothes, Kurapika froze, scowling. What are you planning? Nothing much. I just want your help to eliminate the 9th Prince of Kakin. He's a liability. And with that done, you'll have more family. The kindness had vanished from Daphne's face, replaced by cold conviction. Kurapika clenched his jaw, struggling to control his fury. Suddenly Killua interjected, "Why don't you do it yourself?" Daphne barely glanced at him, replying, "Your method is too tricky, I can't beat it." "Then you're even less capable of beating Leo, right?" Melody spoke up, hostility in her tone. Kind-hearted by nature, she now felt resentment. He shrugged. "He's not my obstacle." "Enough nonsense, what do you want, Kurapika?" After wiping the anger off his face, Kurapika hesitated. The 9th Prince had once shown them kindness, they had taken him aboard and assisted him. Could Kurapika betray that? But family. It was a powerful, confusing concept. Finally, he bowed his head and said softly, "Okay. Pleasure working with you." Daphne smiled, his expression betraying no genuine warmth. Kurapika let out a groan and began researching the 9th Prince's location. Meanwhile, Daphne chided the silent onlookers, "What are you staring at? Aren't you terrified Kurapika will be killed by those meat-covered Nobunaga clones? No memory of how many monsters he commands?" Melody and Killua followed Kurapika grudgingly. Kurapika must choose his path, 9th Prince's life was at stake. Asshole. I wish Leo were here now. If Leo were here, Daphne wouldn't do this. Now she's insecure without him, and Kurapika is in a bind, Melody sighed, as if she understood Daphne's motives. Maybe, Killua said with worry. Aluka's safety still gnawed at him, and now this. Kurapika, focusing, laid out a plan with Melody, use her lullaby to incapacitate the 9th Prince's troops, giving Kurapika a chance to appeal directly to the prince. Maybe he'd retreat, protecting the east without bloodshed. "I'll try," he said, unwilling to resort to killing unless forced. Elsewhere, Daphne and Shizuku munched on rice balls. Thanks to the bulgite fish, food was still available. "Why do this?" Shizuku asked, munching on a beefkin pulled from the fish's mouth. Daphne chuckled. "You wouldn't understand, Shizuku. We're all women." "We are," Shizuku nodded, still unsure. Daphne sighed. "Women are like water, calm unless stirred. But where is water always still? A rock, a fish, even wind like Leo will ripple it. And when the wind leaves, where does the water go?" "I don't know," Shizuku responded, mouth full. "That's fine. Just know this, next to Leo, I'm just Daphne. Without him, I'm a lake alone." "I don't get it. But is the 9th Prince really the enemy then?" she asked. "Yes." Leo, meanwhile, was on the broken floating island, examining the massive black dragon scales he cut. Regret crossed his face. "Impressive. Your swordsmanship surpasses my master's," Nobunaga admired. "It's a beautiful move. Leo, can you dance?" Maki, curious, asked from the shadows. "Dance? I can't even move smoothly. But my technique draws from the fire god Kagura." "What's that?" "An ancient dance of 13 movements invoking peace from the god of fire. Unfortunately, I only know enough to sense rhythm, not perform." Maki recalled Leo's graceful movements moments ago. "But you danced just now." "I was jumping spontaneously. Kagura is more breath than dance, solar energy. But I was just flailing out a feeling," Leo admitted. He leaned on his scarlet blade, sword 3, his breath of the sun. Yet ideals were thin. For now, he relied on pure force, an ever-burning blade. Chapter 91. While the three were talking, the Ender Dragon spewed another fireball. Bang bang. A series of explosions sounded, followed by the large-scale destruction of the floating island. Not wanting to be outdone, the Endermen competed with the Ender Dragon in terms of house demolition. Pieces of land were uprooted, and after hitting the Ender Dragon's body, they flew into the endless void. TSK, if they keep fighting like this, the floating island will be destroyed first. I have to help Shade and the others. After Leo finished speaking, he sheathed Dragon Sun and began to infuse it with the power of breaking thoughts. This was not a special sword move, just the most basic Aietsu, but it had miraculous effects after being blessed by the scabbard. Cut. Leo stood on the spot, like a sword energy turret, continuously firing silver-white sword energy. But the Ender Dragon's defense was obvious to all. Even as it collided continuously with the sword energy, it only broke some scales. Damn it. I can't break the defense. However, Leo's slash finally shifted the Ender Dragon's aggro. It flapped its huge wings and sprayed a red beam of light toward Leo. Dragon Breath. Run. Maki held Reggie and teleported 400 or 500 meters away. After Nobunaga determined the location, he followed closely and appeared beside them. But the Ender Dragon would not let Leo escape so easily. It identified Leo's position midair, folded its wings, lowered its head, and swooped down. Oh no, I've drawn aggro. The Ender Dragon was extremely fast and touched the ground in less than a second. The powerful wind pressure, like a falling meteorite, blew away everything nearby. Snap. The floating island couldn't bear the weight and fractured. It turns out the only thing you can't beat is speed. Our team is going to be invincible. After narrowly escaping death again, Leo couldn't help but admire him. Don't be careless. If the dragon predicts our landing point, we'll be doomed. Nobunaga considered carefully. Leo knew what he meant. He had made the same mistake dealing with Shade before, with unsatisfactory results, and had barely landed any hits. Although the Ender Dragon was fast, it couldn't compare with teleportation. So they still had some confidence. Leo continued to draw his sword toward the Ender Dragon, but this time it did not allow Leo's sword energy to pass. Instead, it stretched out its dark claws and dispersed the sword energy. Compared to Shade, who could only throw things, the Ender Dragon obviously paid more attention to Leo. Once its cooldown was over, it would freely spit fireballs at them. Damn it, can't it give us a moment to catch our breath? Nobunaga said angrily. Nobunaga, come help Leo teleport, my energy can't keep up. Maki had to leave Leo to Nobunaga and hide behind bedrock alone. Do you also have the concept of running out of energy? Is it thoughts or something else? Leo asked curiously after clinging to Nobunaga. Of course, but this energy is more like physical stamina. I feel a bit weak now. Fatigue? Can you still chant? Leo asked again. No, that's totally wrong. Leo looked at Nobunaga's dark body and suddenly thought, what would happen if he opened his sperm holes? Because he still had to rely on Nobunaga to save him, he shifted the experiment's target to Maki. After the two teleported near Maki, Leo suddenly slapped Maki away with a palm from midair. What are you doing? Try it, force open the sperm hole, how about it? Do you feel it? Boom. Another fireball exploded, and Nobunaga quickly teleported elsewhere, fearing it would burn Maki. Unable to be sure of Maki's condition, Reggie had to focus on dealing with the Ender Dragon. Sword 2. The 100-meter-long ice dragon was originally majestic, but compared to the 1,000-meter-long Ender Dragon, it seemed a bit petite. Leo controlled the ice dragon to cling to the Ender Dragon's claws, devouring it bit by bit. But what Leo didn't expect was that the shadow dragon suddenly shot a fireball at his big toe. Yin. The Ender Dragon howled in pain, almost shattering Leo's eardrums. But he didn't panic. Instead, he felt a little happy. The Ender Dragon seemed to dislike foreign objects clinging to its body. Sword 2. The Ice Dragon was pulled out again, but much smaller this time. This was Leo's tactic after weighing pros and cons. Instead of 100-meter dragons, he weakened them to make 20 smaller ones. The Ender Dragon took the hint, not to blaze at the fireballs. It sprayed fire wherever the ice dragons were. The great thing about a long neck is you can lick your back. After deploying 10 small ice dragons, the Ender Dragon's body was covered with wounds from its own fireballs. Leo was overjoyed and continued enthusiastically sticking icicles onto the dragon. But Nobunaga couldn't hold out any longer. He moved closer to Maki. "Maki, shift gears." Maki didn't respond, still in the posture from Leo's slap. Did something happen? While the Ender Dragon was recovering from its wounds, the two rushed forward to investigate. It turned out Maki seemed to be awakening her Nen ability. "It really works. Nobunaga, you stay here and hide. I'll deal with it alone." Leo didn't give Nobunaga a chance to refuse and threw him toward Maki. Then he darted away. Meanwhile, the Ender Dragon, having paused its attack, was regenerating. Flesh and blood began to regrow on its body. "Monster!" Leo yelled and stole another ice dragon, planting it on the Ender Dragon's belly. Stimulated by the cold, the Ender Dragon's regeneration was interrupted. But this time, instead of rushing to dislodge the ice dragon, it turned its huge head toward Leo, then spat out a mouthful of thick phlegm. "This is?" After narrowly avoiding the attack, Leo used the sidelight to observe the thick sputum. Unlike fireballs, this seemed harmless, just a mouthful of phlegm. Leo didn't observe further as a fireball the size of a swimming pool was headed his way. Sword 0. The blade flashed and Leo appeared 200 meters away. That was a close call. However, he didn't escape far enough. The fireball shockwave still hit him. Gurgle gurgle. After rolling more than 10 times, Leo drove Dragon Son into the ground to stop the impact, and the rolling ceased. But before he could rise, another fireball engulfed him. At this moment, Maki and Nobunaga were still awakening their Nen abilities. In the world of flames, Beyond Netero was hunting the red slime alone, making mouth noises from time to time, as if chatting. "Why don't you meet Reggie?" "See shit. He can't see me." "Huh? Are you angry? Why?" "Humph. Don't ask, I say this is our business." Beyond Netero noted the key question, is there a core in this fire world? Chapter 92. Strong air currents roared over the dilapidated floating island, accompanied by occasional ground tremors. It seemed that the life of this floating island had come to an end. The Ender Dragon was hovering high in the sky, and beneath it was a sea of blazing flames. This was where the fireball had engulfed Leo. When Leo came into contact with the fireball, he thought he was doomed. He even thought of his will in that instant. What he never expected was that his burning aura actually surged and helped him resist the fireball. But this was no ordinary flame, it was the dragon fire of the Ender Dragon. Yet now Leo was gradually accepting this flame and showing signs of merging with it. The Ender Dragon was intelligent, but it had grown complacent from long-standing invincibility. So, it allowed Leo to change and even chose to observe quietly. The fire continued to grow, eventually forming a flame that burned between Leo's eyebrows. Huh! Exhaling a breath of red flames, Leo felt as though he were possessed by a fire god. He looked up at the massive dragon body blanketing the sky. Do you know why humans are the most intelligent creatures? Because humans are cruel enough, they learn to kill without leaving a trace. He pulled out Dragon Son, dyeing it crimson once more. But this time, the flame was more lively, like a group of fire elves joyfully leaping within the fire. As for me, I'm actually not very good at dancing, so don't laugh. Whoosh! A red light surged from the ground and shot toward the Ender Dragon's belly. Though the Ender Dragon couldn't understand Leo's words, it sensed a threat. Before the sword light reached it, the dragon slapped Leo away with its tail. Yin. Though the tail had struck Leo, it was the Ender Dragon that ended up hurt. Leo landed safely. Good thing I redirected the sword energy at the last second. It turned out that when the dragon's tail was about to hit him, Leo forcibly altered the trajectory of his sword energy. It appeared as though he had been struck, but in fact, he was blasted away by the sword's recoil. The deep crater left by the tail confirmed this. He sheathed Dragon's Son again and took a stance to draw. What are you going to sacrifice next? The Ender Dragon struggled to recover. Flying was now difficult. With its massive body, it needed its tail for balance. After Leo cut off part of it, the dragon faltered and descended. Now, wounded, it decided to use strategy. Whoosh! It surrounded itself with searing breath, then folded its wings inward like a turtle withdrawing into its shell, exposing only its mouth. Was this a defensive counterattack? Leo hesitated to draw, finding no obvious weak spot on this coiled black dragon. Sword 2. After thinking hard to no avail, Leo resorted to using an ice dragon to harass. But ice couldn't pass through the ring of fire. Watching his ice dragon melt, Leo cursed it under his breath. Though his aura had somewhat recovered from absorbing the dragon flame, a single 100-meter dragon consumed 10% of his energy, and it had accomplished nothing. It was a waste. Yin yin yin. The Ender Dragon let out a low growl, mocking Leo for his failed attempt. Don't get cocky, you big beast. Leo began charging up, aiming to forge a supergiant sword. Blood-red energy flowed from his aura nodes, dyeing the ground red. Surviving black creatures wandered toward the light. Gradually, the expelled energy gathered around the scabbard and began to condense. Sword 1. Leo drew Dragon's Son, unleashing sword energy that grew into a 300-meter-long giant blade. Yin. The Ender Dragon sensed danger but didn't dare move. It would rather take the hit than expose itself. It tucked its head deep into its wings, forming a solid turtle shell. Haha, I should call you the Ender Turtle now. Leo grabbed the hilt, dragged the blade, and dashed beyond the circle of fire. Leaping high, he brought the 300-meter sword down. The blade glowed red, and friction sparked faint electric arcs on either side, crackling in the air. Shishi. As the sword struck the dragon's scaly back, the recoil caused Leo's nose and mouth to bleed. But he couldn't afford to falter. The Ender Dragon was waiting for weakness. So Leo roared and shifted from slashing to stabbing, driving the tip into the dragon's flesh. Yin, yin, yin. The Ender Dragon wailed in pain. It broke formation and staggered wildly across the island. This was rough for Reggie, riding on its back like a bullfighter atop a crazed beast. Boom. Black stone pillars on the island collapsed under the dragon's rampage. Its vitality was monstrous. Even with Dragon's Son thrust over 200 meters into its body, nearly piercing through, the Ender Dragon still fought on. Damn it. Leo still couldn't bring it down. After several collisions, his organs were heavily damaged, his steel-like flesh shredded by wounds. Blood sprayed like fireworks, brilliant, but fleeting. Come on. Just when Leo was about to give up, Maki's voice rang out, followed by a warm embrace. Maki? Yeah. Come on, I've got you. A tender black hand grasped Leo's shredded one and drove it downward with force. Yin. The 300-meter sword finally pierced the Ender Dragon's abdomen, releasing magma-like blood. Weakened at last, the Ender Dragon collapsed. As Leo sighed in relief, Maki added, "Don't stop. Cut off its head." Leo understood instantly and shattered the giant sword. The broken sword energy split, some remained inside the dragon, wreaking havoc, while the rest was guided into Dragon Sun, forming a 40-meter blade. Seeing him ready, Maki teleported with him to the dragon's head. The Ender Dragon's eyes now held helplessness and pity, almost enough to evoke sympathy. Snap! Leo cut off its head without hesitation. TSK. Trying to trick me with my own tricks? No chance. Chapter 93. Maki helped the seriously injured Leo sit beside the dragon's corpse. After opening his aura nodes, she swiftly mastered her signature technique, Nen thread suturing. This method involved suturing muscles, blood vessels, bones, and nerves with 100% precision at ultra-high speed. After stripping Leo down to his underwear, she frowned. Oh no! Hearing this, Leo was horrified. Had he been injured that badly? That made no sense. He was still conscious, and the pain wasn't unbearable. How could his injuries be that severe? It's all right. Without addressing Leo's doubts, Maki began the operation. She first opened up his body to expose the damaged organs and then threaded the needle with blinding speed. Due to her Enderman physiology, her hands moved so fast that Leo could only see afterimages. It took her just over 10 seconds to suture all of Leo's internal injuries. Then she began treating his external wounds. There are more. Why is there one here too? It's here, can't help it. Fine, just sew it. Maki-chan. Can you at least close your eyes? I don't want to get a sty. Hiss. The frailty of men was evident. Maki had stitched nearly his entire body without complaint, but now she touched there, and Leo winced. A short while later, Leo put his clothes back on and looked at the massive dragon carcass. Unlike other monsters, this one hadn't given Leo any experience points. Something wrong? Maki asked. Yeah, this dragon didn't give me any experience. Experience? Yeah. Could it still be alive? That struck a chord in Leo's mind. Even a decapitated turtle could twitch post-mortem, so a giant lizard might be the same. He gathered his remaining Nen to help the Ender Dragon pass on fully. Upon stabbing it, he was too weak to dodge and was splashed with dragon blood. But Leo wasn't alarmed, he was thrilled. His burning Nen flared up again. Nice one. Leo wandered over the dragon's corpse, covered in red, glowing specks. Time passed within the accumulating crimson light on Leo's body. No one knew how long it lasted, long enough for Leo to grow a beard. The dragon's body was now a dried-up husk, its skeleton laid bare. Finally, Leo received the experience he had long awaited. My power increased by 50%. Ha ha ha, I now have tolerance equal to 21 Netero levels. Leo, stubbled and exuberant, laughed aloud. Nobunaga, training nearby, called out, "What's 21 Netero levels?" My estimate. It's about 21 times Netero's ki. 21? Yup. Too bad the dragon blood's energy mostly boosted my body and burning Nen, could have gotten more, Leo lamented. You're insatiable. But how'd you absorb the dragon corpse? It's thanks to the burning Nen. It awakened when I hit 10 Netero levels. Its unique trait is its life affinity. Isn't energy absorption an instinct of all life? Leo explained, mostly his own theory. He still didn't fully understand the burning Nen. Look. Dragon eggs and an exit. Maki called out as she teleported to them. At the center of the floating debris was a giant black egg and a swirling portal. Let's go, said Leo, who was teleported by Nobunaga. Leave now. Maki hesitated, dissatisfied with her appearance. Yeah. The Dark Continent holds greater marvels. Maybe even a treasure that'll make you even more beautiful. Oh, Leo, your flirting has improved. If you had this skill before, Maki would be a mom by now, Nobunaga joked recklessly. Die. Sure enough, Maki picked up a dragon bone and charged at him. But both were like shade, they teleported back and forth endlessly. "Alright, send the bones through first." To make the most of the opportunity, Leo broke the bones into pieces and pushed them through the portal. The three spent considerable effort transporting the massive bones. Then came the dragon egg, which they carried together into the portal. Why hand in hand? That was Leo's idea. He feared a hidden mastermind behind the portal and didn't know where it might lead. As the world swirled around them, they found themselves back in the fire realm, standing atop a mound of dragon bones. Beneath the platform was bubbling magma. "Nobunaga, find Shizuku. We'll guard the dragon bones." "Got it." Nobunaga vanished. Noticing Maki's gloomy mood, Leo tried to cheer her up. "It's just a bit of tan skin, what's the big deal?" Maki shook her head. It wasn't her complexion that bothered her, it was something Nobunaga had said. "I can't have children." Leo was confused. "What do you mean, can't have children?" "I mean, dragon eggs. They can't lay eggs, right?" Thankfully, Maki's dark complexion masked her embarrassment. "Dragon eggs? If Shizuku's fish can't hold it, just fry it for rice." Leo's joke made the dragon egg shiver, but neither noticed. "What, fried rice?" Nobunaga reappeared, this time with Shizuku. Upon seeing her, Leo said, "Sorry." "Huh? You don't need to apologize. You didn't do anything wrong." Shizuku looked innocently puzzled. But Leo, knowing her too well, repeated, "Sorry. I said there's no need to apologize." Her face darkened, and her tone turned cold. Leo recognized her anger, deep, quiet, dangerous. "Okay, let's clean this up first," Maki interrupted. "Maki. I'm glad you're safe," Shizuku exclaimed. "Yeah," Maki replied coldly. "PFFT. Nobunaga burst out laughing but quickly stopped under their glares. "Maki's right. Let's store everything." Shizuku's vacuum creature appeared and said, "Time to work, bulgy-eyed fish." Crunch. After swallowing all the bones and the egg, Shizuku seemed odd but concealed it. "Let's regroup. Iluka still hasn't been found, and I owe Killua an apology," Leo said. Shizuku gave him a strange look. "They're at Grey Potmeat's place. Might be fighting." "Why?" Shizuku babbled. Through her explanation, Leo learned everything. Daphne feared the Kaken Empire's growing power and asked Kurapika to kill the ninth prince. It made sense, but Leo didn't agree with it. He laughed. These people, with all their power, were becoming cowards. "Let's go." With Maki and Nobunaga's teleportation, they soon reached a crumbling palace. There, Kurapika faced more than 200 Kaken soldiers alone, with Killua and Melody at his side. Daphne watched from the rear. "Forget it." Leo calmly walked up beside Daphne. Hearing his voice, Daphne flinched and turned slowly, like a child caught stealing. "No more cuteness." "Well, I've got a lot to consider." Chapter 94. After Leo appeared, the tense standoff was immediately diffused. Killua didn't see Iluka, so he quickly stepped forward. "No sign?" "Sorry," Leo shook his head. "How is that possible?" Killua's expression shifted drastically. If Iluka was lost in this mysterious world, how would he ever find her again? "You have to trust Nanika," Leo comforted him. But Nanika never uses her ability on her own. Killua knew his siblings' limitations. Though any wish could be granted, it required someone to make one. "Don't we have Iluka? Besides, I didn't make a wish when you were resurrected," Leo said, gently ruffling Killua's fluffy silver hair. Killua pulled away. "I haven't even asked how you know about Nanika." "That's a secret." Seeing Killua had calmed down, Leo turned to Kurapika. "I can help with the Korta clan. Come back." Relieved, Kurapika sheathed his chain blade and prepared to retreat. But the ninth prince and his group weren't having it. How could Kurapika just kill and walk away? They weren't pushovers, especially now, with enchanted equipment. Several zombified guards immediately blocked Kurapika's path. "Leo, he has to explain what happened today," one of them demanded. "Ah. This is what I really didn't want to say," Leo replied solemnly, as if about to reveal a crucial secret. Everyone leaned in with full attention, bracing for something major. But in classic Leo fashion, he grinned and said, "Hey, give me some face." A beat of silence. Was that it? After a pause, the ninth prince laughed. "All right. I'll give you that face." You had to admit, he was a man of broad tolerance, letting go of someone who tried to assassinate him. Leo returned the gesture with a polite smile and led the group away. "Your Highness, he tried to kill you." Some guards protested. "But if Leo really wanted to stop us, we couldn't kill him with our current numbers," one soldier reasoned. The ninth prince nodded. "Exactly. That's why we give him face. The one I can't stand is Kurapika. We were kind enough to let him on board, and now he repays us with hostility. And that ugly girl even tried to hypnotize us." Luckily, Louis, you interrupted her chant in time. "It was nothing. I only did what I had to," said Louis, a plain-looking man in his 20s, easily overlooked. "No, Louis, you did well. Want a reward?" the prince asked. Seeing Louis hesitate, he added, "How about picking the first treasure from this palace?" "Thank you, Your Highness," Louis said, eyes lighting up. At the rear of the palace, Leo and the others regrouped. He noticed Ove and Jack weren't present and asked, "Where are the Chatterbox brothers?" "They went solo. Said they couldn't stand my style," said Daphne, entirely unfazed by her own answer. "Flying solo, huh? Good. Those two are problematic. Let them go," Leo sighed. Truthfully, Ove and Jack were more than a little off. Since arriving in the Dark Continent, they never once showed fear. That spoke to either absurd confidence or dangerous knowledge. Either way, Leo didn't care, as long as they didn't threaten his people. And speaking of his people, only a handful remained from the December organization: Black Maki, Black Nobunaga, Shizuku, Satsu, and Leo himself. "We're just a name now," Leo muttered. "What?" Daphne asked, puzzled. "He means December," Shizuku explained with half-lowered eyes, her voice flat. "Yeah. No more 12, Leo echoed. "Hey, why not recruit some newbies, like the spiders did? I think some are decent," Black Nobunaga offered. "What about it, Chain Freak? Want in?" "I'd vomit joining the same group as you," Kurapika sneered. "Hey, I'm a hunter too, go ahead, puke." Leo looked at Nobunaga in surprise. Ever since becoming Shade, he truly let go of a lot. "What's going on between you two anyway? And another thing, I've always wondered. Leo, how does your beard grow so fast?" Daphne asked. "Now that you mention it. I just remembered, there's no concept of time in the end of the world," Leo recalled. He then turned to the two Shade boys. "How long were you two in there?" "I forgot." "A long time," Maki replied nonchalantly, retreating again into the background. "Yeah. So long I've forgotten many things," Nobunaga added with a sigh. "It's the accelerated world," Leo said cryptically. Shizuku thought hard about that term and then asked blankly, "Sometimes I wonder, Leo, are you really from this world?" "Hey, of course," Leo replied calmly, though his heart wavered. Good thing Maki hadn't said that, otherwise someone might grow suspicious. Enough with the nonsense. Kaken's group already went ahead. Planning to wait until they cleaned the place out? Killua cut in. There was an emptiness in Killua's young face that betrayed his age. The kid had suffered too much. After losing his best friend, he'd now lost his sibling. "Yeah, let's explore." Everyone fell silent, shifted into cautious mode, and entered the dark red palace. Chapter 95. The palace stood tall above the lava, magnificent and sorrowful, its beauty tinged with gloom. Walking across the red brick corridor, everyone entered the palace. Two colossal statues loomed ahead. On the left was a 9-headed serpent, and on the right, a winged eagleman. Huh? Leo murmured in surprise. The minor visual differences weren't the issue, the internal structure here clearly diverged from what he'd seen in the game. What is it? It's nothing. Just be careful. After the brief distraction, the group continued and soon reached a chain bridge. It stretched into the darkness, spanning a bottomless abyss. At that moment, Shizuku stepped alone to the bridgehead and pulled a laser rangefinder from her vacuum beast. Why do you even have that? Leo asked, astonished. Use. Shizuku said only that, turning on the device. The laser fired and bounced back quickly. She read the screen and muttered, multiply the speed of light by 0.1, divide by 2. About 15,000 kilometers. You're kidding. Do you know how far 15,000 kilometers is? If the rangefinder is accurate, don't fall. Yeah, falling means you'll land in another world. I'll go first. If anything happens, I can fly back, said Leo. But Sword Zero was more of a leap than true flight, it relied on pulling force to defy gravity. As he stepped carefully onto the chain, Leo noticed something odd. His body felt lighter, almost weightless. That was good. If something went wrong, he could drift over slowly. But as he walked, the chains underfoot melted away like ice. With nothing to stand on, he grabbed Dragon Sun and tried to launch a strike toward the other side. Sword Zero? Trouble? Again. He couldn't draw the blade. Panicking, Leo tried to turn back and call for help, but behind him, there was nothing. No one in sight. The bizarre scene unsettled him. Thankfully, he still had his Nen. Without the scabbard, he couldn't summon a pulling-type force like Sword Aura, but his physical prowess and Nen-enhanced movements were enough. Even stepping on his own foot would propel him forward. Not literally, of course, he only needed something to kick off from. Leo tore a button from his clothing, dropped it beneath him, and stomped hard. Bang! A tremendous sonic boom erupted as the button disintegrated. Leo shot across the void like a lightning bolt. On the other side stood a towering iron gate, about 20 meters tall. This was clearly the palace entrance. But he didn't rush in. Instead, he turned to retrieve the others. He picked up some stones and leapt back across the abyss. Oddly, when he landed, the gate was still in front of him. Confused, he left a mark and leapt again. Still the same mark? Some kind of phantom wall? 5-finger mountain trick? No one could answer. After multiple attempts, Leo gave up and pushed open the iron gate. Creak. He didn't go in. Instead, he turned and jumped back. Strangely, the door was closed again. Frowning, he repeated the process. In total, he opened 48 doors. Then, when he reached the 49th gate, which remained open, Leo stepped inside. What met his eyes was debris, bones of many shapes and sizes. It was clear multiple species were represented. One skeleton stood out, a dragon's, identical to that of the Ender Dragon. Crunch. Leo walked slowly across a road paved with bones, heading toward the dragon remains. A fisherman? A soft female voice startled him mid-step. In the corner, among the bones, sat Nyan and Aluka, piecing something together. He hurried over, crushing brittle remains beneath his feet. Why are you two here? Once you step through that door, you end up here, said Nyan. Yeah, and Nanika told us not to move around, added Aluka. Leo frowned. Right here? Don't wander? Did Nanika sense danger? What are you putting together? This place is fun. There are all kinds of skeletons. Look, Killua's skeleton, Kurapika's, and... As Leo looked over their creations, he was shaken. Some bones retained physical features. Killua's skull still had silver hair, and the face had some flesh, unmistakably Killua's. Kurapika's body was stranger. His height was the same as before entering this world. Does Nanika know what's going on? Leo asked. She said it's all real. And all not real, replied Aluka, equally baffled. This is complicated, Leo muttered. If Nanika was right, these corpses might be their real bodies, left behind when they transformed into pixel beings. Their souls entered pixel forms, while their bodies remained. No. After entering the underworld, our bodies reverted to normal. So it can't just be soul-body separation. He dismissed that theory but was still lost. Nanika also mentioned something about time, Aluka added. Time? Was this about past, present, and future? An idea clicked. If the bones were real, they represented the past. They were all alive now, so even if the bones were real, they were also fake. No. That's wrong. If the past is gone, how does the present exist? Maybe they were currently living in the past, while the bones existed in the present. That felt closer to the truth. So, these bones might be a possible future? No. Still doesn't fit. Could these bones have traveled through time and space? Why else would they be here? Aluka, asked Nanika again. My head's about to explode. She said this is the present, and we are living in the past, Aluka relayed. Could she explain it more clearly? Leo groaned, finally giving up on logic. He stepped carefully over the bones toward the massive dragon skeleton. He reached out and touched it. It had the same texture as the Ender Dragon's bones. This is definitely the Ender Dragon's skeleton, he said with certainty. It was time to think, but regret swelled in him for not thinking sooner. He tiptoed through the hall, trying not to crush anything. Who knew if his own bones were here? He searched nearly the entire hall. Nothing more. Just a grave. He prepared to take the two girls back, but Aluka said, Nyan's prophecy told me nothing would happen if I didn't move. Nanika said not to wander. And Nyan added, it's true, I did predict something, but I don't know what. Leo, Chapter 96. 1/3 of your treasure is lost, and the remaining treasures will be buried in an unmarked grave. The night watchman with a knife will break in and ask you questions. If he cannot come up with an answer, never follow him, or you will lose everything at the end of this road. Stay true to yourself, what you see is only illusion. Remember, life is your only wealth. Protect it, and everything will be fine. What Leo held in his hand was a prophecy Nyan had written for Aluka. It was quite informative and carried weight. Nyan had offered to write one for Leo, but he'd refused. Ever since learning about the angel who could foresee the future, he distanced himself from prophecy altogether. Still, that didn't stop him from learning something from Aluka's prophecy. Especially the third line, it seemed to warn that Leo might face a dead end. It suggested that danger lurked behind other doors, perhaps even for Aluka. 1/3 of your treasure probably referred to Killua, the remaining 2/3 were likely Nanika and Aluka herself. Being looted might mean death. Or being drained completely. So what did this mean for Leo? That he shouldn't open the other doors? Of course not. Leo wasn't one to back down, he would face whatever waited, because he refused to walk this road alone. Stepping out through the iron gate and across the abyss, Leo came to another door. Heaven. Or hell. He murmured, a complicated look flickering across his face. He pushed the iron door open. Creak. The moment it cracked, a blinding light burst through, piercing Leo's eyes. Shielding them, he walked forward, relying on his end to sense his surroundings. Strangely, once inside, the light vanished. Opening his eyes, Leo found himself staring at a scene that could only be described as hell. Roughly 1,000 people filled the hall, almost exactly the number that had entered this realm. All familiar faces: Kurapika, Killua, Melody, Neon, Aluka, and the original Maki and Nobunaga. It should have been a reunion. But it wasn't. Kurapika was being roasted over open flames, the scent of seared flesh heavy in the air. Killua and his brother were stewing in a pan of oil, heads grotesquely kept above the surface. All across the hall, familiar faces were subjected to horrific punishments. And then Leo saw himself. Not just another corpse, his double was receiving some twisted tongue-based torment, a long, slimy tongue wrapping around him endlessly. Too disturbing to watch. Leo drew Dragon's Son and slashed at the grotesque figure. The man blinked in confusion and said, "Huh? Why are you cutting yourself?" "The one I cut was a fraud with terrible camouflage." "How could that be? That's your actual body." "Then I should chop harder. There can't be two Leos in the same time and space. You young folks are so aggressive." The fake Leo twisted his long tongue, pinched his own face, and in a moment transformed. "Let's use this face for now." Now, the impostor wore a stunning countenance, sharply defined like a sculpture, eyes deep as oceans, full lips paradoxically adding to his allure. "Who the hell is that?" I think his name started with Dong? Dongjia? Dongfulishi?" Leo couldn't place it. The guy with Leo's body and Dong's face didn't seem to know either. "Is your first name Dong or your surname?" "Beats me. That was 300 years ago," the man replied, tapping his temple in confusion. Then it clicked for Leo, it had to be Dongfulishi. That legendary figure had actually been here? Yet New World Journey never mentioned him. Was this part of the mysterious Western chapter? "Is he strong?" "Not as strong as you now. But you probably still can't beat him," the man replied with unnerving honesty. That stunned Leo. After breaking through 21 Netero levels, he thought he transcended what humans could achieve. "There's always a bigger mountain," he thought grimly. "And you? Who are you?" "Me? Call me Balpeor." "Balpeor?" Leo recognized the name, though vaguely, perhaps from something Shizuku had said. "Why all this horror? For fun?" Leo pointed at the tortured Killua brothers. "I didn't create these punishments. He just got a break," Balpeor replied. "There's another you?" "Yep. Several, actually." Leo's mind spun. Combining this with the Hall of Bones, he realized, each iron door likely led to an independent timeline. And Balpeor, as the master of this realm, existed across them all. "How do I get out?" He expected an answer. Silence. Then, snoring. "Hey! Huh? What is it?" Balpeor, startled awake, looked around. "Answer my question. How do I leave?" "Atilda, if you want to leave, you'll have to defeat the version of me who imprisoned you." "That's no easy feat," Balpeor yawned. Leo slowly gripped Dragon's Son. "How hard?" "Relax. I'm one of the more talkative Belphegors. You got lucky meeting me." He smiled lazily. "But here's the gist, only someone filled with hope can defeat me. You're nowhere close." "Hope?" "Yep. Anyone that diligent must be full of hope, otherwise they wouldn't try so hard." "What kind of bizarre weakness is that?" "You think I'm lying?" "Maybe. That 0.1% lie could be the real key," Leo muttered, suddenly understanding why this being disguised himself as a torturer. Balpeor was a born liar. "You're sharp. But most of what I say is true. And let's be honest, you don't have much choice but to believe me," Balpeor said with maddening confidence. Chapter 97. Leo said goodbye to Balpeor, crossed the abyss, and came to another iron door. But this time, he didn't enter. Instead, he pushed the door open just a crack and peered inside. Through that sliver, Leo saw a sight that made his blood boil, a panoramic bathhouse, with women like Maki, Shizuku, Daphne, and others inside. He didn't dare enter. He didn't even have the courage to keep looking. He quickly shut the iron door and moved on. The next room was a cathedral. Over 1,000 people knelt with their backs turned, praying, not to a figure at the altar, but to Leo, who had opened the door. The disturbing scene made him retreat again. This room was a hard no. Then came a wedding hall. A man and a woman were getting married, but the twist was, the man and woman were clearly both male. Leo shuddered. Horrifying. He continued onward. Every hall was some form of mental distortion. He didn't feel at ease until he returned to the bone-covered floor of the bone temple. "A slacker? You're back again," Nyon greeted casually. She'd always had a fascination with human anatomy, and this place was basically paradise to her. Meanwhile, Aluka enjoyed assembling things, and these broken bones were perfect. Neither felt fear, they were thriving here. "Yeah, I've got a question, what kind of person is full of hope?" Leo asked Aluka directly. "He said it must be someone like the sun, able to heal and redeem everyone," Aluka answered. Leo frowned. A saint? Was that even realistic? Killua once had one. That was it. Leo instantly thought of the true protagonist of Hunter x Hunter, the only one it could be. But where was he? Aluka didn't respond, not really. That was probably Nanako withholding the truth. In other words, the only way to find out was through a wish, but hadn't Killua already tried? Leo didn't know. He remembered Killua's blank, lost expression, and that alone said Killua hadn't found him either. Leo left the bone temple and re-entered the temple of hell. "Find him?" Balpeor asked immediately, as though he'd been waiting. "No. Every one of them was bizarre. And your tastes are garbage, peeping on people bathing?" Leo's tone grew increasingly critical. "Oh? Could be. I'm incomplete, so it's possible I have some biological traits," Balpeor replied. "You're not a living being?" "Not really. I was a god once." His face lit up with narrative anticipation, waiting for Leo to ask. "Once? What happened?" Leo played along. Balpeor grinned. "Because you humans created me. And then destroyed me. I used to represent the god of sloth, spreading the virtue of laziness to all life. But humans rejected me. They revered diligence, called me a devil, and cast me into hell. You don't think there's something wrong with that? Why should laziness be a virtue?" Leo nodded, intrigued. This hit a blind spot in his understanding. Laziness is part of all living things. It hinders progress, yes, but it also drives it. Because of laziness, you invent tools to make life easier. Because of laziness, you strive for efficiency. Because you're lazy, you know how to enjoy life and avoid exhaustion. Leo suddenly recalled the name Balpeor, a demon of sloth, one of the 7 deadly sins. "Do you know someone who can steal time?" Leo asked. "Huh? After all that, you're asking about Mammon?" Balpeor blinked. "What kind of logic is that? Mammon, the sin of greed?" Leo chuckled. "I'll admit laziness has its perks. But have you forgotten how destructive greed is? Especially for humans?" "Humph. That's your problem. Should we ban swords just because they've killed people?" "Human, understand the essence of things," Balpeor snapped. Leo. He couldn't deny Balpeor had a point, though it was clearly flawed logic. Laziness might offer comfort, but often it was just an excuse to avoid effort. If you had the courage to face hardship and act, would you even want to be lazy? Unfortunately, Leo wasn't great with words. Winning a debate wasn't happening. "I get where you're coming from. And to be honest, I might be one of your believers. I'm lazy too, Leo said sincerely. Oh please. I've lost my divine rank. Where would I find believers now? Especially like you. Why not? You're full of lies. But I really am lazy. Ha! Balpeor burst out laughing, giving Leo a look like he was the most ridiculous thing in existence. You don't have a single trace of laziness in your personality. People like you used to be my natural enemies. But here's the twist, you're not exactly diligent either. You're a quitter. That's fascinating. Leo opened his mouth, but no words came. He remembered someone had once said something similar. Maybe it was Melody. What? Nothing to say? Balpeor teased. Maybe. But I'm not a quitter anymore. I've got a goal now, and I'm working toward it, Leo said, hopeful. I will master my Nen. I will cross this endless dark continent. And I'll write the story of my life. Disgusting. The sudden shift in Belphegor's tone startled him. His face twisted with disgust. Get out, he shouted. Leo froze, then realized, of course. Sloth detested diligence and hope. Don't be mad. Let's talk more about life. About purpose, Leo pressed, clinging to Balpeor like gum on a shoe. So gross. So annoying. Get away from me. Balpeor panicked and began to run. But he was incomplete. He couldn't use his powers on Leo, and that left him vulnerable. Eventually, Leo cornered him. I was wrong. Stay back. Belphegor's body began to fade, becoming transparent. Huh? You're disappearing? Yes. It's my weakness. Just like vampires can't face the sun, I can't exist around diligence or hope, he whispered, his form flickering. What a massive weakness. Is that why humans stripped you of godhood? Yes. They created the ultimate beings of diligence and hope, angels. Angels? I thought they were created by God. Hey. Even God was created by humans, let alone angels. And angels are gods in their own right. No real God would dare claim they created them. Chapter 98. Hell Palace. The iron pot bubbled with boiling oil. Inside, a body sizzled to a golden crisp. The cold gleam of a saw glinted on the floor, beneath which lay a corpse sliced into gruesome pieces. Leo and Balpeor stood in the Hell Palace, appreciating the disturbing display of torment. Leo shifted uncomfortably. I'm not sick anymore, you don't have to sit so far away from me. He wasn't someone perpetually brimming with hope. His earlier speech had been spontaneous. But it had clearly triggered Belphegor's revulsion. Humph. Humans talked too much, Balpeor grumbled, adjusting his seat to maintain a safe distance. Leo shrugged, then asked, so what's your ability? Intercept. About time? Leo recalled Nanika's words. The warped timelines here might very well be his doing. Yes. And the lazier a person is, the more time I can intercept from them. So the worlds behind those iron doors. Are they all separate timelines? Yes. Suddenly cryptic, Balpeor sealed his lips. Leo, annoyed, snapped, only cowards cut the story at a cliffhanger. You need a sword to cure that. Unbothered, Balpeor walked over to the frying pan. Reaching in, impervious to the searing heat, he scooped out a palmful of oil and flung it into the air. The droplets floated and expanded into 50 shimmering bubbles, like flat, glimmering screens. Images flickered into view, each bubble reflecting a different scene behind the iron gates, like surveillance footage. Leo watched in stunned silence. Until he spotted an unfamiliar hall. Why are there 50 of them? Because I captured 50 slices of time. And the last one? I was intercepted too. How would I know? Balpeor rolled his eyes, clearly unhelpful. Leo stopped pressing. Instead, he focused on what he'd learned. Belphegor's ability was to intercept time. He could manipulate slices of time from lazy people, and store them. But everyone looked unconscious in the timelines. Which meant during interception, only Balpeor remained aware. And those caught in the time trap felt nothing. Yet. Perhaps because their intercepted time hadn't been restored yet, so its consequences hadn't arrived. Being the direct type, Leo asked bluntly, if you return the time, will they all die? You figured it out? Balpeor grinned. Yes. If I return it, it'll become part of their fate. Is there a way to prevent that? There is. But I can't do it. This time wasn't intercepted by me. You'll have to find the real culprit. Leo studied the bubbling images one last time. Then, without hesitation, he turned and left. Who knew if the true interceptor might one day decide to return all the stolen time? If so, everyone might collapse into madness. Or rot into piles of bones. Bubbles shimmered midair, hazy and translucent, lit by the candlelight. Inside them, many women were still bathing. But Leo had no choice. He had to check, just in case the real interceptor was hiding here. As in the Hell Palace, Belphegor's body or clone may have shifted forms. Now, to find him among dozens of naked women. Not easy, especially for a virgin with 2 lifetimes of celibacy. Still, Leo had a plan. He stepped to the edge of the bath and shouted, Belfang. I see you. No response. The women in the pool continued their dazed soaking. One even had a shaved head. Leo squinted. Wait, is that Shizuku? He chuckled and muttered, silly girl. Plan A failed, so Leo tried Plan B, evoking hope. He said nothing. Just visualized his future, radiating conviction. Soon, one figure trembled, as though the water suddenly scalded her, and tried to climb out. With a grin, Leo leapt into the pool, stepped across the surface, grabbed her, and carried her to the edge. Mosaic. Temptation surged, but Leo quickly closed his eyes in agony. Why you? Change your face, now. It was Daphne, curvy and uninhibited. Her exposed body nearly gave Leo a nosebleed. Boring. You figured it out so fast, Balpeor muttered, pinching her soft skin as she transformed into a different appearance. This time, she took the form of a woman. Leo peeked again, more composed now, and asked, whose face is it this time? TSK, you know too much. Her name's Mew. Annoying woman, Balpeor said in a sultry voice. Leo felt a little off kilter. Moments ago, Balpeor had been a man. Now, she was a stunning woman. But deep down, they were still the same. Can you turn back into dawn? I'm not used to this look. Balpeor tilted her head and smirked. You didn't know. I'm a god. And a goddess. What? Leo was stunned. Then he composed himself. Sorry. Forgot myself for a moment. Do gods even have gender? Of course not. We were created by humans, Balpeor sneered. Leo nodded slowly. But the humans Balpeor referred to. They sounded nothing like the people he knew. There's a question that's always bugged me. What kind of humans can create a god? That was long ago, Balpeor began. Humans back then were primitive, but powerful. Some were even stronger than you. About 100 of them. I think they formed some sort of alliance. Their first expedition into the Dark Continent. But only 3 returned. And they were the ones who created us gods. Did they bring anything back? Leo asked. They did. But it wasn't a gift, it was a cursed box. A nightmare. That's how I became a god. Want to hear the story? Leo instinctively shook his head, but quickly feigned interest. Oh. Now I don't feel like telling it. Balpeor fluttered her lashes with a mischievous grin. Chapter 99. Point. Point. Hiss. Be gentle. Leo pinched Belphegor's foot reluctantly. This was his reward for spills from those secrets, though he protested it wasn't lust but a fair exchange. Now, can you tell me? My shoulder is a bit sore. You can do that next. Leo sighed. I don't have much time. If you return those stolen time periods, my friends die horribly. Just squeeze when I tell you to. Stop with the chatter. And anyway, he isn't giving it back. Balpeor eased his foot away, displeased. Why not? He didn't answer. Instead he prompted, have you considered why I intercept time? Leo, puzzled by the 49 timelines, replied, feels like you're just toying with people. Balpeor paused. You're right. I'm playing. He shrugged his shoulders, hinting Leo should massage him. Reluctantly, Leo obliged. You've been alone in this palace so long, my laziness soaked into me. When you all arrived, I was thrilled at company. But many died. Leo suddenly squeezed the foot harder. Balpeor cried out in pain. Died? You misunderstand. I can't leave this palace, anything outside is beyond my reach, Balpeor howled. He then clarified, those ender dragon bones you saw in the bone temple? I intercepted them, along with those 50 palaces you entered. Leo stared, stunned. Balpeor was a duplex entity. A layer of pixel world illusions over the sloth palace. It explained how Balpeor didn't know of the outside world, and why Nyan's prophecy said staying in the bone hall was safe. He didn't wish them harm. Maybe you don't know there's a world beyond your palace, Leo said. What world? A cube world, my friends died there. Cube? Never heard of it, Balpeor shrugged. Leo smirked. Maybe they needed a secret code? He considered using quadrant symbols. But maybe you can talk to her. Balpeor pointed at his ever-shifting visage. The face now looked angelic, a perfect visage Leo had never seen before. Where can I find her? No need, someone who met her is here. I can intercept her time. He snapped his fingers. Black, forbidden filaments wove from his body. Leo felt the world warp. Soon, it solidified into a small iron gate, about 3 meters high. Balpeor explained, we didn't intercept many this time. So here's a small gate. Leo nodded and opened it. Behind the door was a convenience store. Hisoka and Illumi ate lunch, and a clerk served a lone customer. Leo walked to the clerk, give me a pack of wadza. What's that? Cigarettes. Oh. The clerk handed a pack to Belphegor's form. Leo smoked, for the first time in the hunter world. He blew smoke rings, then pointed at the other customer. New? The man looked up, flawless face. Balpeor, you intercepted me? Boring. But you went outside too. Balpeor lit another cigarette and offered a drag to Mew. Leo? You can move in intercepted time? No, you came through a gate. Right. I arranged this, to ask you what's going on outside. Ha! Thief calling out a thief, Mew sneered. Meaning? Balpeor raised an eyebrow. Mew never lied. Where's your golden egg? Leo froze. The golden egg should be in his backpack. But where was his bag? Where's my bag? Mew flicked his finger, it escaped during the swamp incident. He made you enter that world. How did he run? Leo asked, baffled. It's the slug tentacles. Cooked into a sauce, it breaks his seal. Just bear it. Sure, but that unlocks the bloodthirsty demon curse. Leo protested. Balpeor interjected dryly, doesn't he hate frog legs most? What does this have to do with slugs? Leo rubbed his temples. That removal method came from the diary of Jaeger Zoldyck, taught by an angel. Damned angel. Angel? Leo began explaining Hisoka's angel and the diary. Ha ha, Balpeor laughed. So you really trust that Hishi? Is it him? That pervert? Mew grimaced. Clearly Hisoka left her a bad taste. Interesting. If Hishi values him, he must be extraordinary. He's probably connected to that world-ending prophecy he mentioned. Humph. He's a lying charlatan. He can't foretell anything, Balpeor sneered. Mew stayed quiet. As a prophet, she respected Hisoka's skill, though Balpeor would never change his mind. Finally, Mew turned to Leo. Be careful. He may want you to do something. Your life from now on will seem arranged by him. Even a stray glance back could be a trap. So scary? He embodies wisdom, Mew said softly. Hey hunters. Quick break. If you're still listening this. Good job to you lol. I am not expecting anyone to get this far. Anyway. Let's keep going. Chapter 100. Hell Palace. The iron cauldron boiled with scorching oil, and inside, a body crisped to a golden husk. The cold sheen of a saw reflected on the floor beside mutilated remains. Leo and Balpeor stood amid the horrors, confrontations between immortality and cruelty. Leo readjusted his position. I'm fine, you don't need to sit so far away from me. He wasn't always overflowing with hope. His earlier speech had come from emotion, unexpectedly repelling Balpeor. Humph. Humans babble too much, Balpeor replied, retreating further from Leo. Leo sighed. Can you tell me how to find my friends? Balpeor reclined on a wooden chair, his plump form shifting. His gaze wandered to the bathhouse scene. You need to find his true self, he said. He's behind one of these 50 iron doors. Unlike us, he doesn't need to hide. Leo asked, what does he look like? Cannot use that form during intercepted time. That meant Leo had no choice, he'd have to open the other doors. Cathedral. Opening the door revealed a mass of hollow-eyed mourners. Leo's legs shook, but he pressed forward. Through the crowd, he could hear their murmured prayers. Leo braced himself, igniting hope within. And yet, nothing happened. Was his hope too weak? Or did he have immense resistance? Frustrated, Leo used the last card, Balpeor. He shouted curses, each growing more scathing and colorful. Balpeor didn't budge at first. But his lips trembled. Stop. Stop it. A gentle voice, Maki's. Not his original form. Crushed by defeat, Leo turned and left. Balpeor remained, motionless and humiliated. Bone Hall. Back among the giant bones, Leo shouted, Balpeor, you piece of. The great ender dragon bone trembled. Leo leapt atop it. Is the 50th door here? No answer. He clenched his jaw, continuing. Aluka's tiny voice floated up, Leo, don't tease him. Confused, Leo turned. Aluka walked toward the dragon bones. He's always here, Aluka said. But he's shy, every time you open a door, he hides. Really? Leo stared. What does he look like? Aluka whispered, he's just a small skeleton. Disguised skeleton. But where was he? Or the 50th door? Leo raced to the Hell Palace for answers. Inside, Hell Palace was fuller of gore, and Balpeor sat munching on limbs. You eat people? Leo asked, squeamish. Balpeor swallowed and replied, when I became a god, I left morals behind. Humans are no different than pigs or dogs. Leo suppressed revulsion. Right, sorry, I forgot. Balpeor tossed more scraps into the cauldron. The smell made Leo sick. Where's the 50th door? You've searched every other one. Good job. But do you really think the true body hides behind a door? But in every one of them, you were disguised. Are you sure that's all? Are you sure of my real form? His questions echoed in Leo's mind. Then, who are you? Balpeor smirked. What do you think? Tell me where the door is. Why would that help? This is a game to me. Leo tightened his grip. Frost-laced dragon son as he prepared to act. Hell Palace trembled. Leo unleashed Dragon Son, and Ice Dragon spiraled forward. Are you desperate? I was once a god, my power. Balpeor began, glowering. Leo responded, voice steady. I once faced a god who wept blood. I couldn't stop him. But that doesn't mean I'll play your games. This ends now. He readied a second ice dragon. The Hell Palace froze over. Vulgar. Balpeor snarled, powerless. His interception gifts required laziness, and Leo had none. Crashing across the icy ground, Leo closed in. Fine. The 50th door is under the abyss. A flicker of hope lit his eyes. Show me. Balpeor, crumpled in a corner and clutching his head, was no longer godlike, just terrified. Leo stepped forward, filled with resolve. Chapter 101. He leaped over the abyss again, but this time Leo stopped on the way. He threw a few stones, stepped firmly, and flew high into the sky. After passing through the darkness, Leo realized his body had flipped without him noticing. His head struck the ground, but he quickly stood up and assessed the surroundings. Unfortunately, it was not a paradise with singing birds and blooming flowers as he had imagined. The valley floor remained desolate, scattered with gravel and weeds. With help from Yuan's exploration, he soon found the iron gate. Before pushing the door, Leo prayed silently, hoping to see Belphegor's true form behind it. Crunch. At the sound of strain, his brow furrowed slightly. This god of laziness clearly didn't know the value of lubrication. He stepped through the door and was met by a desolate sky full of yellow sand. Venturing in felt like entering a primordial wilderness, barren and lifeless. What shocked him most was the scale. Unlike the previous 49 doors, this world seemed boundless. In such vastness, Leo didn't know where to go. Even with his largest circle, he couldn't spot a single human figure. Soared too. In desperation, Leo drew the ice dragon and soared atop it. But when he reached nearly 100 meters, he encountered an invisible barrier and couldn't advance further. Seeing this, Leo had no choice but to feel his way forward, inch by inch. After crossing countless dunes, he finally spotted his circle. There was indeed a village here, and astonishingly, the villagers were lifelike, as real as any person. Leo walked to the village entrance, feigning a traveler passing through, wanting to test these villagers. I've never seen such a face. Brother, how did you cross the Mobius Desert? The big man at the entrance approached Leo enthusiastically. Mobius? Desert? The man's powerful response startled Leo. Yes, this world's #1 desert, the Mobius Desert, said the big man. Oh, then could you tell me today's date? I've been lost in the desert a long while. Leo feigned exhaustion like a desperate wanderer. August 8, New Calendar Year 10. The Alliance's big shots really, divine selection isn't enough, now they insist on counting dates. Completely forget it all the time. The big man grumbled. Just then, a petite figure passed by. TSK. You're too dumb, why not just write the date down? Then you'd never be lost, she chided. Leo glanced down and saw a little blue-haired child in a coarse linen shirt patched in places. For some reason, Leo felt a certain respect and inviolability upon seeing her. Your Majesty, Son of God, you're absolutely right. Brilliant. Truly. The big man sniffed disdainfully at Leo, then nodded at the child and turned away. Lululu. The little blue-haired girl stuck her tongue out at his retreating back. The hot weather made her thirsty after her antics, so she took out an oval green fruit, bit into it, and squeezed milky juice from it. "What are you looking at? Haven't you seen the future goddess?" the little girl demanded. Leo found her amusing, so he feigned flattery. "Greetings, goddess, may your glory endure forever. But your believers are thirsty now. Might you share some water?" The little girl, mid-sip, paused and fiddled with the half-shriveled fruit. "There's only one fruit per day. But you are the supreme god. You'll never be thirsty." Leo smirked. "True, God is never thirsty, but I'm not a god yet, I'm just the son of God," she replied slyly. "So you're not a god? Such a letdown. I thought, in our moment of despair, a god would appear," Leo said coldly, unsettling the girl. "I will definitely become a god," she retorted. "Why?" "Because once I become a god, there'll be plenty of green fruits, and I've heard you can drink pure, clear water," she said, hopeful. "Belle? Who are you calling? Come back for dinner." A middle-aged woman called, and the little girl ran off joyfully. "Belle? Balpeor? Before he became a god?" Leo watched her in surprise. He couldn't reconcile this sweet child with the cannibalistic Balpeor he knew. "What transformation have you undergone?" Leo muttered to himself. He strolled into the yellow sand village in the Gobi Desert. Here, the only green plant was a fruit-bearing cactus tree, towering up to 5 meters with sharp thorns. Villagers had to wear full gear to harvest its fruit. But how could so many have clothing in such a place barely supporting life? Every year, many youths braved the thorns, eager for fruit as their sole water source. Curious, Leo asked a man picking fruit, "Why don't you use a branch to knock them down?" The man looked astonished. "What a good idea, how did you know? Isn't it obvious? Even gorillas know that." Leo said nothing. Suddenly, a strong wind blew, knocking all fruits down without harming the cactus. That strange wind was his doing, an overflow of sympathy, one might say. Later, he contemplated digging a well in the desert. Not impossible, but groundwater is far below. What good is a well when your people are lost to history? After some hesitation, Leo finally drew Shizuku. He had one thought, to find peace within himself. Sword 1. With this move, he compressed sword energy, making the blade long and thin. Boom! With a thunderous sound, water burst forth from the hole Leo had made. A mature female voice spoke, as expected, "Destiny has been fulfilled." Leo turned and saw a blue-haired enchantress. She wore a red gown with white tights underneath, highlighting her curves. Long blue curls framed a delicate oval face with fair skin and large purple eyes exuding mystery and nobility. Most striking were her red lips tinted pink. "Balpeor? Yes, I am the one you seek." Belphegor's true form lacked his avatar's grotesque traits, he truly looked godlike, majestic even when standing still. "And this destiny you spoke of?" Leo asked. "This is the future Lake Mobius. Don't be surprised, you are the one who dug it." Balpeor confirmed. Leo's jaw almost dropped. How huge was Lake Mobius? Large enough to rival his old world. "And I dug it? Did I unearth the Milky Way? Besides, Mobius originally existed in the hunter world, but not here. He was supposed to be a rookie teased by Daphne. How did he reach the Dark Continent?" Chapter 102. Leo and Balpeor sat face to face at a table, smoke curling beneath them. This was the sky outside the 10,000-meter barrier. Why is this world different from the others behind doors? Leo had many questions. He couldn't even fathom how the chair beneath him could float in the sky. "Because what's captured here is my own time." Balpeor produced a tea set from somewhere and began brewing tea with expert precision. Leo's gaze lingered on the sudden appearance of the tea set. He continued, "So, can't you change history freely?" Balpeor sipped his tea and, finding it pleasant, made a cup for Leo. I can't interfere with what happened here, and neither can you. But you did appear in the lake village when I was a child. Leo fell into deep thought. Was this Zhuangzhou dreaming of a butterfly, or the butterfly dreaming of Zhuangzhou? He was nearly confused. Drink it quickly. The say tea becomes unpleasant when it cools. Balpeor gestured to Leo's cup. Leo drank, feeling instant refreshment, surprised by its clear yet rich flavor. This tea is delicious, though hard to describe. After the say tea was introduced, you can no longer drink it, say vanished in the river of history in my time. Do you know why? When Leo shook his head, Balpeor explained, because of the dark continent. Everything in this world has thought, life energy. With the dark continent's door opened, the thoughts of two worlds began merging. Say couldn't withstand it and gradually died out in our time. Leo grasped that the power of a world isn't achieved by human will alone, survival favors the fittest. But how does this relate to me uncovering Lake Mobius? Balpeor nodded. It's connected. The world chose you, so you can do things others cannot, interfere with fate's trajectory. I almost believe you. Leo knew his own limits. He didn't possess the aura of a hunter's protagonist. His influence on fate was subtle, mediated, like when his maid became a billionaire, thanks to a freak accident diverting a cash-laden ship into Kukulu Mountain. Or when he guided Killua's restoration using blood, it felt more like fate's guidance than direct manipulation. Balpeor sensed his ponderings. Do you misunderstand fate's trajectory? Only intervening in events that have already occurred counts as changing fate. The thought unsettled Leo. He recalled those incidents. He hadn't altered the past. Even Killua's resurrection was born of physical blood, not some miraculous rewrite. A big difference. A world of difference. The future holds countless possibilities, but the past only one path, or dimensions fracture. Steins Gate? What's that? Nothing, it just clicked. If you change the past, you create another world line, right? So am I living in a parallel space? No. There's only one world line now. Balpeor drew two lines in the air. Parallel spaces, alternate world lines, are born when the past changes. But so far, nothing's been disrupted. As a time regulator, I know this well. Leo sensed something off. His ability could affect the past. So he asked, Balpeor, wouldn't your intervention alter the world line? Balpeor smiled cryptically. That's a corporate secret. If you want to hear it, I'll need something in return. How much? A few $100 million. It's less than that. I just want you to do something small for me. Then I'll tell you my secret. Want to hear it? Leo finally felt the strangeness of this original body. Indeed, this was Balpeor. But he didn't intend to make a deal with a former god whose plane of existence surpassed his own. It would only end in Leo's suffering. Why won't you just be kind? Balpeor again divined Leo's thoughts. Why can't a benevolent god simply tell me? Humans, don't expect something for nothing. But I have a feeling your request comes with dreadful consequences. Balpeor fell silent, his face darkening. He'd been slowly guiding Leo, answering every question to shape him. His aim was simple, he wanted Leo to free himself. So, you've been manipulating me? Don't say such harsh things, Lord. We are still innocent. Leo gradually recognized Belphegor's true nature. Though he acted friendly, his motives were clear. Aren't you afraid that I'll restore their time? The consequences could be catastrophic. Most will die terrible deaths. My lord, are you intending to die with me? Leo's voice sharpened, as if he'd draw Dragon Son at any threat. You. Balpeor truly couldn't overpower Leo. He couldn't defeat him in strength nor use his powers, he was in a losing position. Let them go, don't force me to draw my sword. Leo saw the balance and knew his strength decided the outcome. Ungrateful. Don't say that. It's not like I won't repay you. Oh? You'd help me? That depends on my mood. I'm not feeling generous. So help me. Balpeor brightened. The people whose time I intercepted will linger in a lost dimension. Remove that ability, and they'll return. To show sincerity, I've released everyone who entered the palace. You'll meet them when you go out. Then let's talk compensation. You probably know, I don't plan to stay. I want your help to leave. And how do you propose? Chapter 103. Since the well Leo dug began to gush groundwater continuously, the villagers were overjoyed. They could finally bathe daily, a fairy tale for a place once starved for water. But the joyous days didn't last. As the water source expanded, the original lakeside village sank beneath the flood. Villagers were forced to migrate, but the flood surged faster and soon swallowed neighboring settlements. Leo watched from the sky in disbelief. How can a well drown a desert? Balpeor smiled. Interesting, isn't it? It puzzled me half my life. Only after exploring the darkness and finding a dry riverbed did I understand. Your sword pierced space and earth, linking the human world with the dark continent. Impossible, Leo exclaimed. Be patient. Back then, we reached the Dark Continent via a teleport array built by hundreds of space-based telepathic users. But now? How did you arrive? We crossed the ocean, and passed through the door. Leo answered, confused. That wall was added later, Balpeor said, tapping the table. Earth-shaking rumbles echoed below. Below them, the world turned into an endless ocean. This is? Lake Mobius is your new world. The flood swallowed the entire planet, mountains became islands. Fortunately, many gods remained. They moved earth, filled seas, and shaped the human world. Leo stared in bewilderment. Could he have destroyed and reborn the hunter world on a whim? Be careful when exiting next time. Not all gods are as forgiving as me. Many would tear your tendons, skin you alive. The warning chilled Leo, and he asked, how many of your gods remain? Many. Even mid-tier gods like me survive. The top-tier beings too, but most are sealed in ruins, Balpeor replied calmly. Why sealed? It's your doing. When you opened the well, dark creatures emerged, terrifying rule-breaking entities, a petrifying snake, a black dragon of destruction, a sky-devouring bird. We couldn't resist. It was the gods' twilight. Faith shifts daily, old gods die, new gods arise. Still, we faltered. Leo gasped. So, it's my fault. Yes, if you hadn't opened the well, none of this would have happened. Leo was speechless. He sensed a deeper mystery beyond Belphegor's explanation. Let's drop that. How do we rescue you? I've had enough of this place, Leo said, sipping the tea to mask his confusion. That's easy. Remove all the iron doors from the abyss, Balpeor said excitedly. With just that? Yes. Each door represents me in a timeline. Unite them, and I'll be whole. Leo nodded, understanding. Those 50 doors were seals, dividing Balpeor into fragments across timelines, limiting his power. The seal's power mirrors yours, Leo observed. It bore traces of temporal manipulation. Yes, I cast the seal myself, but something went wrong. I can't break it. Leo stared. Balpeor locked himself away, then tossed away the key. Don't treat me like a fool. I had backups, but they failed, just like that incident. Someone's working against me, Balpeor yelled, but it was unclear at whom, Leo or an unknown saboteur. Following Belphegor's directions, Leo threw each iron door into the abyss. When the final door fell, a radiant light filled the dark world, a warm, familiar sensation. Leo recognized the fire world's heat. Moments later, the palace vanished as if in a dream, and everyone found themselves in a red brick corridor. After the Killua brothers reunited with a bear hug, Iluka watched with envy, lacking such bonds herself. Leo asked, "Where did you go after entering the palace?" "Huh? We just vanished after entering it, and appeared here," Nobunaga said. Black March added, "You different from us?" Leo managed a wry smile. "Yes, I can now defeat gods at sight and slay ghosts instantly." "What's going on?" Shizuku asked curiously. Leo explained the Iron Gate and their journey through it to everyone. "Wow, you created Lake Mobius? What a monster you are," Nobunaga said, viewing him anew. "If the goddess's power intercepts time segments and manipulates them, she can rewrite your pasts that led to Mobius. Why endure that time prison?" Maki asked. "Perhaps some things cannot be altered, fate is already set," Daphne said, expression heavy with insight. "Let's drop that. It's too far from our concerns." Sensing the heaviness, Leo diverted the conversation. "It's far from us, but very close to you," Kurapika interjected gravely. Leo shot him a glare. "Tone's freezing, can we skip it?" "TSK, I'm only worried about you. If you don't appreciate it, fine," Kurapika sighed. As the group chatted, Illumi and Hisoka slipped into the crowd. "Killua, Iluka, come back with us. This early entry is risky." "No. I'll train here a while, I won't be held back," Killua responded firmly. He still sought his best friend, Pakinoda. Illumi blinked and protested, "Without enchanted gear, how can I fight monsters here? You won't share yours, do you want me eaten? Then go back yourself. I'll protect Iluka," Killua replied, seeing through Illumi's manipulation. "Well, Illumi, maybe we can borrow one," Hisoka suggested, placing a hand on his shoulder and nodding toward Leo, who changed the subject. "Sure," Illumi agreed quickly. Leo casually tossed his iron armor and enchanted bow to them. Though soft-spoken, Leo heard their gossip. "Are you stupid? They weren't even targeting Killua," Maki complained. "Hey, no matter. I don't need it," Leo laughed. Chapter 104. Seeing Leo agree so readily, Illumi tried to feign restraint, but his smirk gave him away. "I want that enchanted bow." Hisoka was accommodating and put on the enchanted iron armor, leaving the bow for Illumi. "Thank you," Illumi murmured. "I'm not much for bows and arrows," Hisoka said. "So armor works for me." In truth, Hisoka's real-life weapon is Killua's enchanted sword, but now that Illumi was watching, he could only settle for the armor. On the other side, Jaeger Zoldik's team were puzzled. How could Leo vanish just after entering the palace? A beginning without an end? Some even suspected Leo had orchestrated it. It was understandable, they saw Leo as too mysterious. Prince Haukenberg also entertained that thought briefly, but quickly dismissed it. He then moved to restore order and resumed the hunt. "The lower world's yours. I'm heading to the cube world," Leo told Prince Haukenberg. "You don't have to," Prince Haukenberg replied, relieved. "I no longer care about Kurapika's assassination attempt." "Haha, not modesty. The upper realm has more loot and more time to level," Leo replied confidently. "Let's part ways here." Prince Haukenberg extended his hand. Leo shook it. "Take care of yourself." "You too." They parted. Prince Haukenberg watched Leo disappear into the portal, uneasy. It might be a permanent goodbye. Why return to the block world? Leo knew this realm was created by the Golden Egg. Someone had stolen his memories to craft this MC world, nearly like the game, so it was easy for him to navigate. With workbench, enchantment table, and monster spawner, he aimed to farm wealth in the upper realm. After passing through the portal, everyone stood waiting at the entrance. Leo stared. The portal had turned to rubble, he destroyed so many. Why are these two with us? Black Nobunaga eyed Hisoka and Illumi distrustfully. Seems someone abandoned us. Huh? Wouldn't you run away and await death? Illumi glared at Maki. No. Kurapika retorted. Newly returned to the upper realm, no one reacted, until Black Nobunaga and Illumi spoke. What's suspicious? Zushi asked. This was once a block world, we couldn't speak, only dialogue boxes. Now it feels real. I suspect it's the outside world. Shizuku added. Leo shook his head, scanning the nearby ruins. He spotted skeleton archers hidden 3 kilometers away in trees. We're still in ruins, but it's evolved. It? The world? Or the egg? Daphne asked nervously. Both, probably. Be cautious. Leo looked serious. Creating a world was one thing, evolving it was far more ominous. Boom. Killua cracked the ground, revealing cube sections under his feet. It's still cube-based, Killua analyzed. Just a new texture. Well, the real test arrives in 7 days, Leo whispered. 7 days to die? What's that? Shizuku asked calmly. You've got ears, Leo sighed. But this relic feels like that game from my childhood. He glanced at Shizuku helplessly. Oh, so that's why you know so much? Yeah. Leo nodded. Did the egg draw inspiration from you? Probably. Leo nodded again. So you're official. Tell us where monsters and enchanted gear spawn. Killua was excited. Don't worry. I brought you all up here to craft. Maybe we can make gear ourselves. Leo announced. Make it ourselves? Yes. Then what's the holdup? Leo offered a bittersweet smile. We do it step by step. First, iron pickaxes. Then mine diamonds. Only then can we craft enchanted gear. Diamonds? Where? Hisoka asked, anxious. Deep underground, and only with iron picks, weaker tools break. And where to get the pickaxe? We need iron ore. Are we in Russian dolls? Black Nobunaga teased. Leo laughed wryly. It's slow. Diamonds are rare. It's basically luck. Better to nab them from monsters, Black Nobunaga suggested. Exactly, split into 2 groups. 2 stay and help me craft, the rest hunt monsters, Leo said, heading toward a birch tree. His knife flickered, chopping it into blocks. But then Leo froze. What now? That workbench, why wasn't it working? The golden egg hadn't given him that function. No biggie. Let's explore, Leo declared. He tossed a wood block to Shizuku, planning to search for a temple or village. Hopefully he'd find a workbench. Chapter 105. Since Leo realized he couldn't craft the workbench himself, they could only search one out in the world. In the vast forest, the group led by Leo darted between tree trunks at high speed. Where did that goddess go? Black Nobunaga, trailing closely, suddenly asked. Goddess? That's Baal Peor. He vanished after the palace collapsed. A being imprisoned for millennia will definitely indulge himself once freed. Leo slowed his pace to match Nobunaga's stride. To be honest, I still can't believe gods are real, Maki confessed, having overheard them. Everyone perked up, curious for Leo's thoughts on divinity. Leo shared his insights. I used to think like that too, but after meeting Baal Peor, I understand gods exist. First, they were created by humans, tapping dark continent energy. Second, each god is tied to a belief. Baal Peor was a laziness god, hardly revered by serious folk. His followers are slackers. And their power, and their weakness, stem from their faith. Baal Peor can't touch hard-working, hopeful people. That makes him only slightly stronger than Hisoka. Hisoka bristled. He stomped the trunk beneath him, jumped next to Leo, and challenged loud enough for all to hear. I just perfected the move that buried Kurlo, I call it Phantom of the Sky. Can you still deny my strength? Leo, Maki, and Black Nobunaga fell silent, recalling past deeds. With their current darkened states, revenge was a tempting fantasy. Leo noted Hisaka's speed. "You're pushing supersonic with Sword Zero, but if you go faster, your body breaks." Hisaka's cheeks quivered. Leo was right. He hovered just above sound speed, reluctant to risk more. "It's fine," Aluni interrupted, eager. "Keep talking about gods, Leo." Leo nodded. "All right, last point. Despite losing thrones, gods still have divine abilities tied to beliefs, and thus weaknesses. For example, the greed god inside Killua can steal time. His weakness? Anyone without greed can beat him. Right?" He hesitated. Killua's power, borrowed from Pakunoda, was immense. Hisaka and Killua's expressions darkened. Aluka was their mission. Leo encouraged them. "It's okay. We've this world. We can clear it slowly. Once I find a workbench and build an enchantment table, we can craft enchanted gear. Then everyone'll be maxed out. No reason to fear greed." Their gloom lifted. "All right, long road ahead," Hisaka affirmed. "I'll definitely rescue Aluka," Killua vowed. Leo resumed leading, keeping their detection circle at 3 km. Though he could extend it to 15 km with extra telepathic help, the data overload was too much. 3 km was optimal. Suddenly Leo halted at a towering tree. The group paused. He'd opened his circle fully and maintained its focus, no extras, or the others might suffer mental strain like Black Nobunaga's instability. His mind buzzed with a divine's clarity. He could perceive the area fully. Ahead, to the northeast, stood a Mayan-like pyramid. The texture evolution fooled him. It didn't immediately register as the forest temple from memory. "Is that the forest temple?" Leo asked, uncertainly. Black Nobunaga scowled. "Another temple? Another forest god?" "It's not a temple for worship, it's a treasure vault. Let's go inside and open the chests." Leo was excited, fully immersed in this world game. They advanced into the temple. Meanwhile, in a hidden corner within Leo's 15 km radius, two figures conversed quietly. "Your ability is so refined Leo can't detect it," Belphegor's fragment said happily. "But I didn't plan to be so stealthy. This world is too odd. I'm nearly among the last gods, yet I've never seen a self-perfecting realm. If I give it time, it'll isolate from the real world and become a world unto itself." Mew, another fragment, spoke gravely. "What's there to fear? We two gods are here, our concern is the puppeteer. I'm not a god anymore. I'm just human." "How? No divine powers?" "My halo remains, but that's ingrained in my soul, not from power, and that's a wrap, hunters." Another amazing Hunter x Hunter fanfic done. It's dropped now. Like usual, show the author some love. Their info is below. If you're new here and vibing with the channel, like, drop a comment, even if it's just screaming Killua rules as any normal person should, and yes I changed it, and hit subscribe to officially join the cult, community. Yay. The Hunter community, eyes emoji. Your support helps a lot. Just you watching and liking the video, comments, it helps keep me motivated too. So yay. What else did I have to say? Oh, and also keep an eye on the community posts. We aren't bots and actually post cool stuff there daily. But don't quote me on that. If Terry's nothing there for a day, or a few days, I choose to dodge all responsibility. That's it for now. Peace. And love y'all. Headphone emoji, red heart emoji.